Yeah. Well, all right. Like you always say, welcome, welcome, welcome. #1 sports talking D. We ain't like the Falcons, we won't blow the lead. Look, all we talk is who that, who got cut and who back. Rookies and the vets, players you should look at. It's the sports coma, you don't wanna miss it. Got the pre-game party, post-game statistics. Get a visit from Sway, maybe DC or 5. It's the hottest thing smoking, Big Q and the guys. Go to YouTube Live, make sure you subscribe. Interviews inside the Saints locker room high. Talk to Drew, Jordan, Zach, Peyton, New Orleans, who that nation. Best believe when I say we bleed gold and black. Ain't a miracle or rivalry could ever hold us back. No, Beastquake, Bounty Gate, let the truth be told. It's the sports coma, all we know is say Super Bowl.
Yeah. You're listening to the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys on the PRO Media Network.
Who that, fam? What's going on? How it do? What's happening with the family members in the building? What's going on, family? Once again, welcome to another installment of the Great Saints think tank known as the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys. Thank all the beautiful black and gold family members for joining us in the chat, man. Listen here. It's glad to see y'all in the chat, man. Y'all could be anywhere out of the millions upon millions of things that could be viewed upon there. Out there in the YouTube universe, you guys here are with me here in the Great Saints Think Tank. And that means a lot, man. And I like to thank you guys for joining us today in the show. You know, big ups to the beautiful black gold family members in the building. As usual, you know, I got a lot of praise for the family members of the Great Saints Think Tank, because without you, the show is nothing, man. Big ups to the black and gold family members in the building. Glad to see y'all all in the chat. New iPad in the building. Who that to you, fam? I see you there. He said, Raging Cajun, Mark here. Salutations. Who that, family? Good to see you there, Mark. Good to see you in the chat. Who that to you, my friend? Jason King. Who that to you? 985J in the building. What up, Jay? Who that to you? Alonzo Jones, Goss. What up, fam? He says, wide receiver corner, Super Bowl. Might need a little bit more, but I love that frame of thought. Zo, my goodness. What up, fam? He said, what's up, Big Q? And to the Great Saints Think Tank, repping the black and gold anywhere the ground touches my souls. Love the show, bro, 100%. Thank you, Zo, my goodness, bro. Big ups to you. Who that to you, fam? Love and appreciate you, fam. Tori Shepard, seeing you. Who that to your family? Good to see you as well. In the show, Dada. Big ups to you, Dada. Happy B-Day to my dog, Dada. Big ups to one of the Great Saint Think Tank's great ones of many, Dada. You know, Dada's in the building. Good to see Dada. Been riding with us for a long time. Who that? Happy birthday to my dog, Dada, in the building. Big ups to you, Dada. Good to see your family. Paul, who that to you, Paul? Good to see you in the chat. The historian himself, the Great Saints Think Tank, true historian Paul is in the building. Uncle Paulie, nicknamed affectionately by my dog Scoob, Uncle Paulie. Donovan, who that to you, Donovan? I see you, bro. Big ups to you. DJ, who that to your family as well. Jermaine, what up, Jermaine? Who that to you, dog? And my boys in the building. Kenny Sutton, who that to you, Kenny? Good to see your family as well. Iceman, who that to you, Iceman T says, welcome to the Sports Coma Comedy Roast Edition on tonight's Minion Fried. Sean Payton and Ball Marcus Williams. Thinking about coming out one of them old roast shows, we just tear them apart, but I'm going to keep it to the content. Iceman, appreciate you, fam. Ricky Jones, what up, Ricky? How you doing, family? Who that to you? Dat Driver in the building as well. Big ups to my family as well. Let's see here. Dada says, I have my girl got some white chocolate covered strawberry stiff and Moscato. There you go, family. You know how to celebrate. But yeah, big ups to you, Dada, you and your whole family, bro. Good to see you. JT, who that to you? JT, I see you. Same sentiments coming right back at you as well. Jerome, who that to you? Jerome in the building. Good to see all the beautiful black and gold family members chiming in the Great Saint Think Tank as well. And as usual, over 5 years, for those who don't know, the Sports Coma, we are the #1 independent Saints podcast in the land, aka the Great Saints Think Tank. Critical thinking Saints family members for a very long time. Who that to you, G Reed 504? Good to see your family in the building. Good to see the family as well. And you know, usually a lot of the family members, just to let the guys know before we jump into our content today, what we'll be covering. We'll be covering the Saints statement on COVID-19. That's the new designer virus that is of course wrapping itself around the planet or the sphere or the plane, whatever you think it is. Definitely having some issues with that right now. Outside of that, well, I'll read a statement and show you a statement from the Saints organization pertaining to that. Also, we'll take a look at some free agency. As it is impending, March the 18th is fastly approaching. Of course, today is the 14th. We are 4 days and some hours from free agency breaking out. Now, we expecting it to remain the same. Of course, a lot of the meetings the NFL's had, they've kind of stopped that. But what will free agency look like? But anyway, we're going to just keep going ahead like it's going ahead. Things could drastically change coming up next week in terms for the good or for the worse. But we're just going to keep proceeding like things are going to remain the same. As free agency can ultimately go, of course, people have to do physicals and all that kind of stuff, and we'll see how they handle that. But we'll progress as if nothing changes, if you don't mind. But we'll talk about Saints free agency on the show as well. Now, just to let the family members know who of the people who don't know who the Sports Coma is or the Great Saints Think Tank, like I said, we are a Saints platform, New Orleans Saints NFL platform dedicated to straight 100% real Saints talk. So if you can appreciate that, and if you have a critical thinking mind and you want to talk some Saints, then welcome to the live stream, welcome to the platform, and welcome to the family. That's what we do here. Also, before long, let's see here. I wanted to also hit y'all with, yes, today as well, we'll be doing Q&A as well. We'll cover those few things, and then I'll open the phone lines up for live line call-in from the family members. Feel free to call in. It'll be mostly a call-in show, maybe about a 2.5 hour show, perhaps 3 hour show today that we'll do no longer than that. And I invite the family members when the live line becomes available to chime in as well. So thank the family members for joining once again to the Great Saints Think Tank. Before we get started, I'd like to give a big shout out to Remington Tax Solutions. Remington Tax Solutions. That's right. Remington Tax Solutions is the sponsor for the Sports Coma last month and this month. It's tax season. If you haven't got your taxes done and you're looking for somebody reliable to get it done, remember, you still have some time. Remington Tax Solutions, fast, reliable, durable, and efficient, effective, and most of all, trustworthy. Remington Tax Solutions, if you need your taxes done, whether you're an individual or a business, they can handle that. They're up on the latest tax legislation. They know about how to get you the proper deductions and filing things correctly where you don't have any blowback. Remington Tax Solutions is a business that's ran by Saints fans. So if you're in the line for a tax service, a reliable, trustworthy tax service, who sponsors the Sports Coma, who are diehard Saints fans, Remington Tax Solutions is the business for you. If you want more information on them, go to remingtontax.com. That's remingtontax.com. They are the sponsor of the show. Just threw that in there, my little commercial as well. And I like to start it off about the content by saying, welcome, welcome, welcome. You're now rocking with the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys. And we have intense, entertaining, and educating sports talk, Saints talk, from your favorite sports family. I'm Big Q, if you don't know, host of the great Saints Think Tank, the Sports Coma. And if you are ready for some real Saints talk, you're a diehard Saints fan yourself and you have not subscribed, here's your opportunity to subscribe. Hit the button. It's very easy. And we'll get going right into this thing, family. So without further ado, we'll jump right on into this thing here and start it off. Now, the first thing, let me share my screen with the family members just a second here. And we'll get it jumped off. And the first story up is we got for some time now, over the last few days of anyway. The Saints Vice President of Communication, Greg Bensel, released a statement to the media on Thursday regarding growing concerns surrounding COVID-19, which is coronavirus spreading throughout the nation and the world. It was made mention by the governor today in the statement that it is considered a pandemic, which is pretty much impacting the entire planet. Plane or whatever your viewpoint is, your vantage point is. The NBA suspended its 2019-20 season on Wednesday after players tested positive for the coronavirus. It's very much a situation worth taking seriously, and Bensel made it clear that the Saints are taking the appropriate measures in dealing with the still growing public health crisis. In his statement, Bensel explained that the Saints will continue forwards with business as usual, but they're allowing staff to work remotely away from the team practice facility. That extends to coaches, scouts who have been touring college pro day circuit ahead of next month's NFL draft, with certain travel restrictions enacted with the goal of keeping staff safe. However, Bensel also noted it is very much a developing situation and further changes may be needed if and when necessary. So watch this space and check back for updates as well. And that's the same as the Sports Coma. As you can see the list right here, the statement that was put out by Bensel right here via Twitter. So if you want to see the entire statement by Bensel, you can feel free to go to Saints Wire on USA Today. Saints Wire, most people just Google Saints Wire to get the information concerning COVID-19, the coronavirus. And that is the information. A lot of people kind of taking it back with the coronavirus and taking an opportunity to kind of reshape and think how this virus is impacting the planet. Now, of course, we've dealt with so many of these things, but never before at an astronomical level have shut down, almost basically shut down society to a fault. Canceling parades, canceling races, all the sporting events from golf to basketball tournaments, the XFL football leagues, and all of these other things that's going on to be basically shut down the NBA in the last stretch of its regular season before the playoffs. March Madness is key right around now. Some stations were showing March Madness of 4 years ago. Very interesting indeed. Who that to you, True Louisianimal? Big ups to you. Gundam 13, what up, family? Good evening to you as well, family. Good to see you in the chat as well. Big ups to the family joining the stream. Now we've dealt with what is it? There's so many. SARS. Remember SARS? You had the bird flu, the chicken flu, the mad cow. And I was doing some research and I'm gonna just drop some of this stuff on the people. Is that another information I was doing was basically talking about where this stuff comes from, and it just didn't come from humans. It came from animals first. And in China, by the way, it leaped from animals to humans. And this has been an impact in the world, and they don't have a handle on it. And a lot of organizations such as the Bill and Melinda Gates are getting involved in it. And we know that they have an interest in stuff like this in here. So very interesting. Schools have been shut down, and in pockets of it's been made a state of emergency been declared over the state of Louisiana, and in the city, a lot of cities and mayors have also declared state of emergencies because of this. And although not knowing a lot about it, the course of action that is being recommended by the health professionals is saying that they should shut this down. So there is no cure for it right now. They're working on the vaccination, according to information that I've gathered. And also they are just trying to, what they termed, flatten out the curve, which means keep the exposure minimal from, people to people. So that's why these school closures and various other things are doing. People are working from their homes if possible. And that's the same approach taken by so many organizations to be mindful of this type of activity. So it's very difficult. Church and schools, like Jerome said, are being impacted by it. And it's just more of the same, more of the same. But we've been through a lot of this type of stuff before. We've been through all kind of stuff, but I've never, in all my time looking at sports and covering sports, have seen one quite shut it down, almost like it's taken them by surprise, even though they knew it was there. The supplies are not where they're supposed to be, but teams are organized, mobilized, and see if they can curb this thing, whatever it is. Some doctors have said that it's nothing more than a advanced case of influenza, which we've been through countless periods of time up to that. And then there's a element of society that pays attention to this type of stuff that says that this is the 19th incarnation, where there were 18 others. It's also in the family members of the influenza and other flus that came as a result. So what makes this one so special? So what we're hearing from the media and what we're hearing from what we're seeing from pro leagues and people at the top who are privy to inside information are basically saying that we're not taking any chances. So you've seen a lot of stuff in grocery stores, people buying up supplies, and it is most certainly very interesting, to say the least. So without any further ado, that's my little take upon it, family, about dealing with it, information I've gathered. I can go a little bit further into, but I care not to go into it at this current juncture of time. We'll just move on into some more Saints talk, because, man, I know y'all had y'all feel to listen to all that. I'm sick of listening to it myself. And it's just, allow me to provide some entertainment for you, just at least for a few hours to take your mind off of it. Okay, now I'm going to share my screen again, and we're going to go back to this article right here by the NOLA.com, and it says Saints are entering free agency this offseason. Here's all 24 of the Saints free agents. And of course, remember, we did go over these before. This list of free agencies, but free agent Saints, 24 Saints head into free agency, and I'm gonna just go through them right quickly and go over just some of the names. Of course, we know what happened with Drew Brees and unrestricted free agents, by the way, and 18 of them are unrestricted and 6 of them are full-time starters. And any unrestricted free agent can sign with any team of their agents of their choosing come March the 18th, which is 4 days away, maybe a little shorter, 4 days away. And the first up the bat is 41-year-old Drew Brees. Who's coming off finishing his 19th season playing in 11 regular season games, totaling just under 3,000 yards, 27 touchdowns, and a completion percentage of over 70%. Absolutely ridiculous, despite the fact he was still rehabilitating from a thumb injury, but came back and broke Peyton Manning's career touchdown record in the same year, of course, earning another Pro Bowl bid. So we already know the information. Latest on Drew is that Drew's definitely in the stage to come back. We already know that. We knew that before all this happened, that they was going to ultimately bring him back. Von Bell is the next guy, 25-year-old starter, spent a lot of time with New Orleans. He did say he had a tragic passing of a family member. Then during that period of time, he also has a new agent. And usually when you get a new agent around this time, you're seeking monies. You're looking at monies. You're looking at to get more, a better deal, maybe to kind of make some money. And we know Von Bell isn't breaking a bank, and maybe this time as he see his value rising, he says he wants to make it. But he says, quote, this is his quote saying, "It's like home to me now," Bell said. "You always want it, but it's always business at the end of the day too." He wants to come, and he's made multiple statements saying that he wants to come back He missed the last 3 games of regular season due to a knee injury, and really he's been there for the duration of his career. This injury he occurred where he missed out on 3 games was really odd because Von Bell has been a mainstay back there in the secondary, truth be told. Now he had his 6th. He still led the league in fumble recoveries by a defensive back with 5. He added his 6th of the year, which doesn't officially count against the Vikings. Additionally, Bell had his first career interception against the Bucs. Excuse me. And added a sack and a half, 4 tackles for loss, and 4 quarterback hits and 86 combined tackles from that box safety position. He is an interesting person. He has the right age at 25. And you look at it, I'm like to myself, I'm saying, man, I would love to have Von Bell back. But his replacement's already been drafted and is sitting on the active roster named Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. And when you talk to other Saints people, man, and I mean other Saints people who like Von Bell but really love Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, they want to see what Chauncey Gardner-Johnson can do. And I'm not mad at that, man. I want to see what Chauncey could do too. And Von Bell would be interesting if you bring him back. And I would be in favor of, even if you bring Von Bell back, get rid of Marcus Williams. I would love to see Von Bell and Chauncey Gardner-Johnson in the backfield. But this is the thing. This is money. At the end of the day, this guy's unrestricted, and somebody is going to offer him some money to play somewhere else. And we'll just have to monitor that. I said that Von Bell is gone. That was my call initially, and I'm sticking to it. Next up the bat is Eli Apple. A lot of people do not like Eli Apple. He played well in spurts for the team, but ultimately he went down in flames at the end of the season, dealing with that ankle injury. The Saints, of course, declined the 5th-year option. He'd been paid like $11 million, something like what the Jackrabbit is getting currently. But his contract is up. His contract is due, making him unrestricted now rather than a year from now. Apple sustained injury against the Titans in Week 16 and missed the rest of the season. But before then, he was in nearly every snap of every game. He recorded 4 pass breakups, had 1 fumble, 1 QB hit, and had 58 total tackles from that cornerback start from that opposite starter position opposite of Marshawn Lattimore. Now, the Jackrabbit, the play of Eli Apple was so bad that they decided, hey, man, we got to get somebody else. So they basically traded for they ain't traded for him. They claimed him off of the waiver wire and miraculously enough got him for next to nothing. He came in and, of course, Eli Apple got hurt. So it worked out absolutely fantastic. Eli Apple, well, not for Eli, of course, but he still can make some money off this deal. It's been rumors that Eli could basically come back on a cheaper deal, something like what they gave of PJ Williams over the last couple of years, like a 1-year deal, like a prove-it deal for cheap money. And I wouldn't be against that, because even though he played really bad at parts, he played good at parts as well. I would rather have him back than, say, a PJ Williams or even a Pat Robertson. I mean, there's upside with this kid. He's just 24 years of age, and he'll get better, in my opinion. Now, he has some problems, but, I think it's a better option. He's familiar with the system. And with the Jackrabbit there, and of course, people say, Q, he don't play the nickel position. Trust me, if he want a spot on him, if they sign him back, he would definitely learn how to play the position. Plus, he has experience playing it. Dan, a lot of people don't like Eli Apple, but it is what it is. Andrews Pete, who played 4 different positions for the Saints. He played He played in 10 regular season games. He missed time due to injuries. Then Pete, of course, he sustained a broken arm that he came back and needed surgery. He came back from a broken arm that he had against the Falcons, but he didn't return until Week 17. Now, he's 26 years old. My stake on this is that Andrews Pete will be priced out of there. The Saints will not bring Andrews Pete back. He will go somewhere and make a lot of money for somebody. If somebody can give the Houston Texans gave Cio Calamente, one of my favorite Saints players, money to go to the Titans some time ago. Why would I not think that the same thing could be on in the future plans for Andrews Pete? He's definitely gone. Next position player, A.J. Klein, 28 years of age, a starter there. Klein is one of the most productive seasons of his career in 2019. He basically missed 2 full games. He left the Thanksgiving game against Atlanta with an injury and was an injury scratch for the following week's game. He finished his third season as Saint with a pick 6, 2 pass breakups, a forced fumble, Fumble recovery, 2.5 sacks, 5 tackles for loss, 5 QB hits, and he totaled 67 total tackles. Not bad for AJ Klein, but he said he'd love to be back. And I don't think the KJ Klein bit, as much as I really love AJ Klein, he's a good dude. I just think the Saints are probably going to move on for AJ Klein. Jamie Collins rumors are there for a reason. They're going to look to upgrade, maybe perhaps get a little faster in the position. And like I said before, I think AJ Klein is not going to be here anymore. David Onyemata is another guy that I said wouldn't be here as well. He played in all 15 games during the regular season, serving as a full-time starter for the first time in his career. He missed the season opener due to that bullshit call by Roger Goodell suspending him for 1 game for something that even the police didn't charge him with. He finished the year with 3 sacks, ranking 4th among the defensive linemen in that stat. He had 11 quarterback hits, ranked 3rd behind Cam and Marcus Davenport. He also had 3 tackles for loss, a pass breakup, and 32 total tackles. Onyemata is another interesting player I would love to have back, but I think that he is going to become a starter somewhere else. Rumors are Atlanta's looking at him. And, you know, you don't want to lose a physical beast, a wildebeest like David Onyemata, but he is really going to command a lot of money on the free agency, and I don't think the Saints will match whatever he's going to get in terms of free agency. Of course, here is cornerback P.J. Williams, 26 years old. He played mostly at the nickelback for the Saints, but due injuries, he slid to a safety position and looked really good, whom, by the way, the great Saints think tank called that. We were the ones talking about P.J. Williams, that he's playing out of position, that he's not good enough to play the corner position. He has mental lapses. His technique is flawed, and he's the best tackling cornerback you have, which I've said P.J. 6'1" with 200 pounds would make a fantastic safety. People saying Q never played safety before. He played safety in high school. He has some familiar with it going all the way back. And I've said that if given the opportunity, Williams could play the safety position. He just switched positions with Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. Well, the Saints basically played PJ at safety, and he looked pretty damn good. Williams missed the final 2 games due to suspension that stemmed from a January 29 DUI. Well, missed 2 games due to suspension. The DUI arrest that he occurred early in the year. When he was on the field, he had 1 interception, 4 pass breakups, 1 sack, 3 tackles for a loss. He had 42 combined tackles on the season for P.J. Williams. And P.J. Williams is definitely not going to be a Saint anymore. I think the Saints are done with him. So is this guy. Ted Ginn Jr. is also history, He turns 35 in April. There's no need to have a 35-year-old receiver that is just detached from reality. His statistics went down and down and down and down and down for the years that he was here with the Saints. In his 13th season in the league, and he was middle of the pack for the team in yardage. He finished with basically 421 yards, 27 receptions, if I'm not mistaken, in the game. And he was supposed to be the number 2 wide receiver next to Mike Thomas. He was totally not impactful at all. Totally pathetic. And a lot of that is not due to his fault. A lot of that was because Drew Brees wasn't looking in his direction. And when he did throw in his direction, he was usually underthrowing him, which forced him to stop and wait for the ball to arrive. And it was just one of those situations where Ted Ginn just couldn't get a rhythm on the whole season. Had one of the worst seasons of his career, definitely as a Saint, was totally a non-factor, was totally out of games at times. You could see him blocking up the field and stuff, but it was just a shame. The monstrosity offense, as I call it, which is basically mutated from being a team-centered offense where you would throw to the open guy, became a four-head monster of Drew Brees, Alvin Kamara, Jared Cook, and Mike Thomas. Totally not how it's supposed to go. And that's a large part of why the Saints are not advancing in the playoffs. You have to be able to move the ball around to people, but being that obviously Drew Brees didn't feel like he had enough competence in either Ginn or Traquan Smith, which is a whole nother matter. But this dude is definitely not coming back, and he's done for. Teddy Bridgewater, same thing. Teddy's going to find a job somewhere else, whether it's in Tampa or Denver or Chicago or Miami. There's several suitors for him. Chicago seems to be the pick that I said originally before the season started because he has a history of destroying them and taking them apart. He completed almost 68% of his passes for 1,300 yards. He had 9 touchdowns, led the Saints to 5-0 during the season, whereas he felt in for Brees. Now, The pre-free agency noise, Bridgewater theoretically is headed to the NFC South, opponent Tampa Bay. I think that's cooled off lately. A lot of the big money have him going either Chicago or out west to either Denver or a team like the Chargers. That's what some of the rumor mills are saying will maintain. But he will not definitely be a Saint. Running back Dwayne Washington is also free, and he didn't have too much. He played mostly on special teams, 70% of it, but a minimal snaps on offense this season. As third string running back, he had only 8 carries for 60 yards and 1 catch for 6 yards. That's the thing. The Saints stockpile 3 running backs. I don't know why they do that. I don't know why you do 3 running backs. Nobody operates a single back system no more. Even if you look at a team like Cowboys that give Zeke Elliott the ball a certain amount of times, they do use the running back behind him a lot as well. And most teams that have backs, you look at the Giants who have Barkley, they tend to switch up and use other backs to kind of take the pressure or the burden off of those guys. Not here with the Saints. The Saints continue to operate roughly with Alvin Kamara at center offense, which is a mistake in my opinion. I think that Latavius Murray fits the offense better in the power running game. They need to use the fullback more. If they sign a fullback, use the fullback more, use the power eye a little bit more, go back to some of the base offenses that helped the Saints become really good over the years. We've forgotten a lot of that. Dwayne Washington is a good north-south runner. He's not much of a catcher out of the backfield, even though he had, as you can see, he caught 1 ball for 6 yards. But listen, when his shoulders are squared, the guy hits the hole. He's a north-south runner, very dangerous, big guy to bring down. And he played mostly on special teams. I just think it's a shame. Why do you have 3 running backs and you're not really using but one of them? Latavius Murray, despite his little usage, he was roughly only 100 yards from catching Alvin Kamara in terms of rushing yards. Dwayne Washington was not even a factor. So why stockpile 3 goddamn running backs and you're not going to use them? We say, well, Q, what if somebody get hurt? Even if somebody got hurt, he still wouldn't use them. He would put the third string quarterback in there and use him as a running back. So at the end of the day, if you're not going to use the third running back, just put a fullback there and free up that extra slot for something else. That's my take on it. Or either grow some more brain cells, please, and start incorporating, since this is such a copycat league, start incorporating certain principles from the teams that beat you, like the 49ers. They use 3 running backs and they use it masterfully. If you've seen Shanahan using some of your plays, feel free to use some of his plays. Why don't you, Sean Payton? Backup Patrick Omameh, 30 years old. I can see Omameh coming back. He's cheap. He's familiar with the Saints offense. He played 14 games last year and filled in several spots for the team for Warford when he got hurt, and several other packages when they needed extra linemen on the field. They went to Patrick Omameh. 30 years old. He is familiar with the Saints offense. He could be a cheap ad as well to come back. Stephon Anthony, I don't anticipate Stephon coming back. What a terrible career he's had. Started off like gangbusters with the Saints. He broke Ricky Williams' rookie tackle record as a starting linebacker for the Saints. And then after that, when Dennis Allen came in, he didn't like Stephon Anthony. They got rid of him. They got rid of Keenan Allen. All this happened after Sean Payton fired Rex Ryan's brother and then brought in Dennis Allen. First, he didn't fire him. He brought Dennis Allen in as a defensive assistant, which pretty much means that he was going to walk the man out the door. We knew it was coming, and ultimately he became the fall guy for the defense, consistently falling through the follow, despite the fact that he was running a 3-4 and they wanted to morph into the 4-3 again. So Stephon Anthony wasn't seen as a 4-3 guy or a guy that could play, and he wasn't a Dennis Allen guy. He didn't like him. So ultimately what happened? They got him out of there. They got Keenan Allen out of there, got several other people out of there that they felt didn't fit in the plans. And Stephon Anthony comes back for his second stint as a special teams player. Although they could say, well, Stephon Anthony has some familiarity with the Saints organization. I mean, seriously, I just don't see Stephon as a player. Perhaps they can bring him back, to compete in camp. It'll be cheap to do it. So, I guess I wouldn't be against that, him, trying to learn the position again. Manti Te'o, of course, returned to the Saints later in the year. Ahead of week 14, played in 3 games. He was inactive for week 17 in the wild card game. Manti Te'o will be back on the street. DJ Swearinger is another guy they brought in. I really like Swearinger's style. I would love to have a veteran safety back there behind Chauncey Gardner-Johnson and Marcus Williams. This guy came in while the Saints secondary was banged up. He played in one game as a Saint again in Week 17 against the Panthers. He was inactive for the rest of the season. Swearinger could be a cheap veteran ad. I would love to have him back here. At least he could teach Marcus Williams how to tackle, or how to do the correct angles, how to bring some ferocity, something, man. DJ Swearinger is a very good safety in my book, and he'll be a good veteran ad in that young secondary. Johnson Batamosi is mostly not a guy that you're probably going to see around here unless they bring him back to compete for a job. Noah Spence brought him in here. We thought he would be something. He didn't do a goddamn thing. Josh Martin is a dude that I'm really interested in. He flashed on film to me, and he came in over from the Jets. This dude here could have something. This dude here caught my attention, so might be interested to see what Josh Martin could do later on. Looking at the restricted free agents now, of course, we know with Taysom Hill, the Saints are going to try to sign Taysom Hill before March 18th. We'll see how they go. Also, the same thing they said about Drew Brees. Zach Wood, the long snapper, could be back. Austin Carr, it won't be back. Justin Hardy could take a cheap deal to come back. Cam Tom, in my opinion, should come back. He was a really good offensive lineman for the Saints, although I do not think the Saints should bring Cameron Tom back. They really should. He could play center and guard for him. And I think he should come back if it's not too much. JT Gray is another guy the Saints can get back cheap. Keith Kirkwood should come back cheap as well. Would love to see what he can do. If he can stay healthy, perhaps he can help us in the slot position as well. Would love to see what he could do. He was hurt all last year. Certain reports indicate that Kirkwood could be on par to be totally healthy. Taylor Stallworth should remain here. I think the Saints should bring him back on a cheap deal. And, of course, you got LaJordan Humphrey and all these guys. Ricky Ortiz, who can come back and compete for the fullback position. So LaJordan Humphrey, Taylor Stallworth should come back for a cheap deal. A lot of these restricted exclusive rights free agent guys should come back cheap, really cheap. And then, of course, some of these restricted guys, I expect us to retain most of these guys, including Taysom Hill. So that's some of my thinking on the information there. Good to see some of the family members in the building chiming in. Crass, what up, Crass? I see your family. Good to see you in the building as well. In the building. What up, Derek? Who's that there? I thought I seen Derek in there right quick. Yeah, I thought I seen him in there. But Donovan, big ups to you, Donovan. I see your family in the building as well, Crass. And all the family members chiming in. Good to see you in the building. Donovan, thank you for your donation, family. Thank you for that. He says, I really wanted to see what we do in free agency. Great creative ML. Yep, thank you, Donovan, for that donation, family. Appreciate it. Dada says, enjoying my day. Okay. Lance Kelly, who that to you, Lance? Good to see you as well in the live stream. So went down a list of our free agents, family. Went down a list of our free agents. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to then turn around and take a look at some of the free agents that's available. What they would call, let me see if I could pull this up here. Some of the free agents that's available currently. And this is the next thing. We went over hours. Now it's time for me to show you who's out there. And after I finish, who that to you, Dominic is in the building. Good to see your family. After I finished doing, just did the Saints free agents and went through that again. Now we're going to show you what the free agency actually looks like. This is from the NFL Network.com. And this is a list of all of the quarterbacks, or at least the top quarterbacks that's available. If you see Tom Brady at the top of the list, of course, we've heard rumors about him going to Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay has the money, $80-something million. They could pay him a good deal. They'll give him a portion of the offense to command. He'll have a say-so over it. They want him bad. And the money says that Tom Brady is ultimately there. And, of course, there were former team members that said Bill Belichick wants to see Tom Brady go to Tampa Bay so he could fail. Who that to you, Joey and Isabella, fam? Good to see you there from Florida. But it's interesting with Tom Brady. In the NFC South, there's always some drama, man. It's always drama in the NFC South. And like I told you, these teams are desperate. The Falcons are desperate. The Bucks are desperate. And the Panthers are desperate. These teams are desperate. They have been dominated by the Saints over the last 3 seasons. And they are desperate to bring people in there to knock the Saints off. That is what Tampa Bay is trying to do. Tampa Bay has the money. and it has the talent. They have Mike Williams and Goodwin there. They have O.J. Howard there. They have the running back, Robert, what's his last name? I can't think of his name. Smith, I want to say his name is Smith, whatever his name is, the running back out of USC. He's there as well. And then, of course, they have a kind of a busted up offensive line, but they have enough money and draft picks and draft to fix that going into the season. They got still enough defensive players to make an impact, and they got good coaching with Bruce Arians and the defensive coordinator Bowles, who used to be the Jets head coach. So the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are a team that could be a serious contender. They're looking at the Saints saying, man, we got to knock them off, man. They've been beating our ass over these years. They feel Tom Brady is the man. Get a Hall of Famer to be the Hall of Famer. That's the mentality that they bring in here. So you're looking at it. Of course, you see Brees is second. The Saints said that they will lock Brees up, according to various reports, before March 18, or that they would like to. The same with Taysom Hill. So we should have both of those guys signed by the 18th. Although I say that possibly Taysom Hill will not be signed by that day. The Saints might let the market dictate what Taysom Hill is worth. But Drew Brees, no doubt about it, in my opinion, they won't get him done because they do not want the market to dictate what Drew Brees will do, because it will be astronomical. So outside of, of course, Teddy Bridgewater, we talked about that. Then other guys like Marcus Mariota, Prescott, who's been offered the contract. You got Phillip Rivers, Tannehill, who might be going back to Tennessee. We'll see. Jameis Winston still sitting there as well. So interesting pick dealing with the Saints, and could it possibly be one of those quarterbacks could be the Saints backup? You know, if you look at some of those quarterbacks on that list. And a lot of people point to Marcus Mariota, and a lot of people don't like Mariota, but the reality at the end of the day is that I've heard several reports saying Mariota could be that guy. He'll come cheap, or a guy like Case Keenum, who could be a backup behind Drew Brees ahead of Taysom Hill, which is interesting. I say draft somebody, but we'll see how it goes. The running backs. Do we need a running back? Perhaps we do, with an impending holdout of Alvin Kamara on the horizon. That's something that's definitely going to happen. He didn't get that guy just for GP points. He got that guy because he's looking at money. You see a couple of running backs that the Saints so decide to go into free agency looking for a back. Very interesting options on the board. Peyton Barber, who is the former Tampa Bay Buccaneers running back, is a pretty good young unknown running back that can help. There's Melvin Gardner. You have to pay a lot of money for him. We know Derrick Henry is going to be a Texan. Of course, there's guys like Deion Lewis that the Titans just released. He had a fat contract as well. He does similar things like a scat back approach. What's interesting is you have Chris Thompson too. Chris Thompson's an interesting option on the running backs in free agency because he's one of those running backs that can catch the ball out the backfield. He's a scat back satellite type of dude that the Redskins was using him. And prior to this year, when he got hurt, he was really productive for him. So a very versatile running back there as well. Wide receivers, you're looking at the wide receivers, which is one of the glaring needs that the Saints have to deal with. And you see some names on there some people don't even recognize. Very curious crop of wide receivers in free agency this year. Robbie Anderson will probably get payday. Randall Cobb, to me, is the best name for the Saints. He'll come at a good rate, $6 to perhaps $8 million. He can do two things, play outside or inside. The Saints need a good slot man to help him out. And then names like Philip Dorsett, which is an interesting commodity as well. AJ Green is not the dude because we already know Cincinnati is going to put the franchise tag on him if they haven't already done it. Rashad Higgins is interesting. Rashad Perriman is interesting because his father played here. I don't know if the Saints are looking in his direction. A lot of people say Emmanuel Sanders, who's 33 years old. He does provide veteran experience to the position, but I'd rather bring a younger guy in there out of the draft to pair with Mike Thomas and then maybe a veteran in a slot like a Randall Cobb who can do both. I just think Randall Cobb fits what the Saints do, just like he fit what Green Bay do when he was healthy. And he's seen what he can do for Dallas last year when he caught 55 passes for him playing inside and outside, plus he kick return, punt return. Very valuable wide receiver, plus he's only 30 years of age. Looking at the tight ends, Eric Ebrom's going to get money. Jimmy Graham, forget about it. He's going to get money. He's not going to come here and play for the Saints. Austin Hooper's going to get broken off, and Jason Witten basically said that he was going to the Giants to be with Garrett up there. So tight ends, you might have to go a little further down to the lessers if you're looking. But if you want to do that, you might as well look at them in the draft, or perhaps some of the lower tight ends. I don't know. I heard names like Jesse James and the guy from the Chargers, Hunter Henry, who was franchise tagged by the Chargers. So forget about that. offensive linemen, tackles, perhaps to replace guys like, Teron Armstead when he gets hurt. We have our backups, but you are missing some depth there. These are a few guys that you might as well forget. Most of these guys are going to command a lot of money. Anthony Costanzo is he gonna get big money. So does Bulaga, Conklin, those guys, Dotson, Cordy Glenn, Peters, and Wagner, who just got released. Whitworth, even these guys are gonna get a pretty chunk of change. So I wouldn't look at the Saints replacing anything. Now, looking at a guard to replace Andrews Pete off the free agency, a lot of people may mention of Joe Tunney. I think this dude will probably get a big contract, same as Brandon Schiff. Ronald Leary was a guy that the Saints, remember some seasons ago, was thinking about trading for Ronald Leary to come here. So he was a guy mentioned in previous reports where the Saints were looking to bring Ronald Leary in. So could that be something they revisit this year? Or perhaps my focal point would be, if you can't, you could probably find a one-hitter quitter for 1 year, but I'll be looking to acquire more picks to try to address the offensive line position from the draft, because it's cheaper to do unless you can land a good contract with a veteran there. Moving on to the defensive lineman, the Saints said, well, we looking good on the defensive lineman, Q. Perhaps we are, but there's some interesting names sitting up top of that list. Linval Joseph, the big defensive tackle, is just made way. You got Snacks Harrison there. You can always use another interior wall. And, of course, Leonard Williams, who's a guy that could play inside or outside for you. The Saints were interested in trade for him some time ago. And then move on to the edge defenders or the edge rushers. You got a really interesting crop of guys there. And I'm talking about everybody from Eric Armstead from the 49ers, who's looking at Big Doe, Vic Beasley. Imagine if the Saints had Vic Beasley as a situational passer. Shaq Barrett, who had double-digit sacks last year, he might be priced. Jadeveon Clowney definitely is not an option. Dante Fowler Jr. is interesting. Marcus Golden, I don't know about him, but Everson Griffin, is a guy that's been just giving Saints nightmares ever since we've been playing them. And, of course, Jason Pierre-Paul is a little extended. He's a little old, stuff from injuries. And my like there, really, I like Vic Beasley, but I don't know how much Vic Beasley will command. I think somebody will give him a good contract, but I do like Robert Quinn. Either one of those guys will work for me. And, of course, you see Jamie Collins there as well. But Vic Beasley or Robert Quinn, we're looking at somebody who knows how to do the job. And if the reports are indicating that Drew Brees would take $25 million, right? If they're taking $25 million to get Drew Brees for this year and probably will backload it for the second year of his contract, they said that they're trying to free up some money to make a splash in free agency. What would be that splash? What splash would there be? There won't be a wide receiver out there in free agency you're going to give money to pair with Mike Thomas. That's just foolhardy. Perhaps it's a cornerback, or perhaps it could be an edge rusher. My thing is, if you're going to spend big money like that, spend big money or good money on an edge rusher who can get to the quarterback. You want guys that get interceptions and guys that can make sacks. If that's the case, maybe a guy like, my pick, I've said it countless of times, I like Robert Quinn. The Saints tried to trade with him last year. Dallas beat him out with Miami to get him. And look what kind of season he had with Miami. With Dallas. Dallas knew what they were doing. But a guy like Vic Beasley or Robert Quinn, to me, young players who got something to prove, man, listen, I would love to have either one of those guys down here to kind of be that situational passer. And I'm saying that because you still have Marcus Davenport playing his position, but that situational passer could come in on plays to spell guys like Cam Jordan, guys like Davenport. And when they set up that vaunted NASCAR package, that adds great quality to that package as well. And the more pass rushes you have on the field, the better. Remember, the Saints last year did not produce any sacks after Davenport's injury. And, of course, Cam was playing through injury, and he wasn't as effective. So they weren't getting any pressure on the quarterback. That needs to change. We can't forget that. People talking about cornerbacks, we talking about all this stuff. Listen, man, it's all about the lines. You have to create. If your lines are weak, it don't matter who you got on the back end. These games are won in the trenches. So you must have a strong offensive line and strong defensive line. And a part of that line is not just stopping and plugging the run. You also have to get to the quarterback and make it uncomfortable for him. If you're making it uncomfortable for the quarterback, he's opt to throw the ball early. He's opt to throw interceptions. You put him in a rush, you throw him out of his routine. That is a valuable skill that you have to pay for. So if you have to give Drew 25, like the reports are saying, and backload it to pay for it on a second year, which will be next year, you might as well get an impactful guy like a Vic Beasley or Robert Quinn. Robert Quinn in my book. Linebackers now. We talked about the Saints. Next year, they're going to be out all these linebackers. I think the Saints will do the right thing and re-up with a guy like Demario Davis. They still believe in Alex Anzalone. They still have Caden Ellis, who's a bright spot there, and then the agent Craig Robertson. But the Saints could definitely use another linebacker, a young linebacker there, and I just don't think that they'll spend the money on that. They might just go through it as a draft. We see guys up there like Corey Littleton. I think Corey Littleton will be priced way out of it. Blake Martinez, are you kidding me? The Blake Martinez that played for Green Bay, no way. You got Joe Schobert from the Browns as an interesting option as well. He does fit Sean Payton or Dennis Allen defense mind state. Also, Cameron Weeks, another guy that's interesting. They should have put him in the edge rusher category. Whitehead, who was released, was interesting as well. So perhaps that's something that the Saints address in the draft. It's cheaper to do it that way as opposed to try to sign somebody, but there are various reports that broke. And one of the first rumor reports to break on free agency was the fact that the Saints were looking at a guy like Jamie Collins. So, I mean, you know, when you sitting back way at the 24th position, you can't be sitting up here saying, yeah, we looking at Clevion Chasen. We want Clevion Chasen. When you sitting at 24, your approach is to take the best player available. And the Saints have several positions that they can really use an impactful player if they don't trade the pick to go back in the draft. And a lot of people say, Q, they don't trade to go back. They always trade to go ahead. Listen, this could be the year when they need to. They need to trade to go back. They need to try something different. Trade to go back, acquire some more picks so you can have more players that you can have there in that position. Because the Saints' approach will be to take the best player on the board. It's just what it is. And they'll have an opportunity to find that. Moving on to the cornerback position. Some people say the most second of the needy positions. You have Prince Amu Kamara out there, Prince A, who played with the Giants, the Bears, several other teams. He's available there. He's a little old. You got a cheap Eli Apple that people could be looking at. James Bradbury is a guy that says he wants 14, 15 million a year. Ronald Darby, Kendall Fuller's interesting. Chris Harris, you can forget about those guys. A lot of people say Q. Xavier Rhodes, Q. Chris Harris Jr., Q. Jonathan Joseph, Byron Jones. No. The Saints are not going to pay that kind of money to a guy to bring him in here and set him next to Marshawn Lattimore. That will completely piss Marshawn Lattimore the F off. If you're talking about giving big money to any other of those guys and bringing them in and setting them next to him, and you ain't even get him a contract, you ain't even look in his direction yet. That type of stuff, it sets a bad message to you when you paying that guy. And we ain't talking about a guy that's 2 years in, he still got 2 more years left on his contract, who missing half the season. That don't set the same precedent as do a guy who's made multiple Pro Bowls, who's obviously, without any doubt or any argument, has been your number one cornerback since he has arrived. And then you go and get somebody like that. That won't happen. So if the Saints do go to the cornerbacks in free agency, it'll be somebody on a second tier level. You know, you're looking at a Brashard Breeland, which is a guy that I was advocating for him last year to go at. You know, you're looking at guys like that. I don't know about a Bradley Roby because he could be looking at money as well. Then Jimmy Smith's a little older, but he's a big physical cornerback. We don't know. Trey Waynes is a guy that's interested who won't command a lot of money because he was dealing with injuries and inconsistency. He might be a guy that you look at to come in back in. But Eli Apple seems to be popping out for me there because he can come back on a 1-year cheap prove-it deal, and that's something that the Saints would be interested in. I just don't like it. A lot of people don't like it, but hey, they can still address the cornerback position via the draft. They're going to get a defensive back in the draft. And of course, the safeties, Clinton Dix is there. Of course, Anthony Harris. A lot of people say Anthony Harris is, one of the best cornerbacks. I mean, he was a really nice cornerback safety for the Vikings last year. You got Rashard Jones there. You got Carl Joseph there. That's interesting. McCourty's there is interesting. Jimmy Ward's there was interesting. Former 49er who's dealing with injury. So safety position is loaded this year. You might be able to get Vine Bell to come back on a steal if you want Vine Bell back, But, my thing is, if the Saints sign Vine Bell, they won't bring Marcus Williams back. How that look? You won't bring Marcus Williams back next year if you sign Von Bell this year, because I don't see them, doing that move. I just don't see it. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson has to start either if you can move on Bell. And it's just, I don't think he fits the Saints system. I think they already took him. I want to see him here, but the reality and the money and the way the Saints drafted 2 safeties the year before his contract fell, they already knew Von Bell was a guy that they was looking past. And that's just some of the names, and just a brief look at some of the restricted free agents. The 49ers, Matt Breida is there. Then you have the Vikings with C.J. Ham, very interesting candidate there as well. If you're looking for a fullback, one of the best fullbacks available is C.J. Ham. He's restricted. The Vikings, I heard rumors that the Vikings want to keep him, but the Saints could really use a fullback like C.J. Ham. And they love stealing 49ers players anyway. So why not go to a C.J. Ham and bring his ass here? You need a fullback. Big ups to the family members joining us in the live stream. Elite Goods and the rest of the family joining us in the live stream as well. Dr. Key, who that to you, Dr. Key? I see your family. Welcome and good to see you in the live chat as well. And all the beautiful black and gold family members, please hit the like button, family, upon entering the live stream. We covered quite the list today. We went and just a quick synopsis of the show up until this point, just almost at an hour. This is how fast the sports coma rolls when you're talking Saints. It go by pretty fast, don't it, family members? But that's the key thing if you're looking at it. But a quick synopsis of the show up to this point was the fact that we covered the coronavirus statement from the Saints organization administrators. We also did cover the Saints 24 restricted and unrestricted free agents, about thoughts on where they come back or where they go. We did that. And then, of course, we hit you with that big list we just hit from NFL.com, showing you a lot of maybe 8 to 10 of the best free agents at their positions and whether or not the Saints will go after. So 4 days until free agency coming around. So it would be awesome, to get that going, and we're just going to keep it going here, hopefully. Dallas Allen, who that to you? Dallas, good to see you, fam, in the chat as well. True Louisiana says Phillip, PJ Walker, and Cardale Jones will be good to give a chance to sit behind Drew Brees. Battle Taysom next season for the starting job since they were cutting up in the XFL, both really young still. That's right, the XFL does have some interesting players. What's that guy, Cam Phillips? Was it Cam Phillips? The wide receiver for, I think, Houston? Man, he looked real good in XFL play. He looked like a natural. And if the Saints really want a wide receiver that's cheap, that's young, that's trying to prove something, go look at that Cam Thomas or Cam Phillips or whatever his name was. I mean, y'all get me together on that name. But I won't say it was Cam Thomas or was it Cam Phillips, one of those names. But yeah, I like how he played, and several other wide receivers there. Maybe it could be something the Saints could look into as well. All right, let's keep a look at it. Let me go over the chat right here before I open the phone lines up to some of the family members. Once again, thank you, Donovan, for your donation, family. I really appreciate that for the Great Saints Think Tank. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Paul says, if Saints keep Marcus Williams, PJ Williams, and Pat Robertson and let Von Bell and Janaris go, they really are not trying to improve the secondary next season. A lot of turnover in the secondary. More turnover than what you would want to see in the Saints in the final year with the Saints defense. You don't want to see that much turnover, especially in the safety position. You see Von Bell going out. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, I think, will be fine. Marcus Williams, I have questions on. Janoris Jenkins will be fine as the opposite cornerback. They just have to get that deal. I still don't understand why the Saints have not adjusted these contracts yet. Why is the issue? Did the league say don't do it yet? Is there a stopping point? I just don't understand. Before all this stuff with the virus broke out, the Saints were basically sitting on their pens, and they weren't doing anything. Why haven't you reworked some of these contracts? Janoris Jenkins deal, Teron Armstead. Why haven't some of these things been worked out? Donovan says, I like my old lineman to have mean streak, but Pete is soft. Pete played soft, but he was very versatile. And I can't say he was a soft overall. At times he did. But Pete was playing with a broken arm. Pete was playing with a broken hand last year with the Eagles. You can't call a man soft if he playing with broken hands and broken arms and stuff like that. He could have went and sit down if he was soft. He actually played, man, and I got to give it to the man, and like I said, I've been advocating for Andrews Pete, because I don't think he got a fair shake with the Saints in terms of how he was treated, but he'll get a fair shake somewhere else. His versatility will definitely be something that people and other teams could utilize. Joy says PJ can stay on the backfield just like CGI. I would sign PJ Williams back as a safety. He did as a safety, but I don't think the Saints have the discipline to keep him there. Next thing you know, you'll be putting him back at the nickel position. So just to get rid of that, I just say just get him out of here. Let's see. Let's go through some more chat here before I open the phone line up right now for some of the family members. I thought I seen. Let's see here. Crass says Demario Davis, he's a young, fast assassin alongside. Can't count on Alex only help. No, that's true, Crass. But you got to remember also, family, Elite Goods, who that to you, is that you got to remember that they're not done with Alex Anzalone yet. They still believe he can be worth something. And that's why I said that you're going to see him there. But no doubt about it, the Saints are definitely going to address that linebacker position in some form or fashion. Jamie Collins's rumors pop up before anything else, so we'll see. We'll see indeed. Crass says Brees was getting pressured up the middle versus the Vikings wild card game. Go get a nasty guard in free agency. Okay. Well, you shouldn't cheap on the guards either, especially if you got a quarterback that can't move around that well. So that's a good point as well. Thank you for that one, Crass. Elite says, yeah, we do need a guard, but not as much as much as of a need with the O-line. We have which compared to wide receivers. There's just Thomas and Deontay Harris in terms of his kick return, punt return duty, both for Pro Bowlers, but not a factor in the offense. So I agree with you that if you look behind Michael Thomas, this has been the weakest wide receiver room that the Saints ever had. So they need to look at wide receivers. And I think that if you go back and look at the people they talked to during last month's combine, you will realize that they were talking to a lot of wide receivers. And I put the list up there in prior shows, and there was a lot of wide receivers, a lot of offensive linemen and defensive backs on that list. One quarterback, and that was the guy from Michigan, Shea Patterson. I hope he's not the guy Sean Payton looking at. I hope Sean Payton got better sense than that. Crass says bring Von B back. He's consistent. He made plays. You lose too many guys on the back end. Communication suffers. That's what I just said. I agree with your family. Very excellent point about the fact that, yeah, you don't want to have too much turnover there. You won't have some familiarity, and Von Bell I don't think he'll be expensive to bring back. But of course, that does mean if you bring Von Bell back, Marcus Williams ain't coming back. You ain't going to pay for Marcus Williams and Von Bell. Won't happen. In my opinion, especially they want Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, and we need to see what Saquon Hampton could do back there as well. Dallas has been here about 20 minutes. Forgot to say my who that. Elise says we do need and can use a guard, but didn't even see Easton. Tom, I trust, and etc. will do well. If taken off the bench. Tom had injuries. He's unrestricted. Will the Saints bring him back? We'll see. Why not? But Nick Easton is another guy the Saints have to make a decision on what they're going to do with him. Nick Easton is a guy right now who was dealing with a 1 year. He had signed a multiple year contract, but the first year was an option. And the Saints have to opt into that option to keep him. Now, if they do opt in, for the next 3 years, I think it is on his contract, then it's pretty much at $5 million a year, which is not bad for a offensive lineman. So the Saints could very well do that. They could go in that direction. You see what I'm saying? Crash says 2020 is Marcus Williams last year in New Orleans. Yeah, I hope so. 985 said Cam Phillips. Okay, thank you, 985. Yeah, Cam Phillips, man, that dude was looking pretty good in the XFL. Would be interesting to see him come here. I would love it. Crash says Justin Jefferson at 24, perhaps. If the Saints keep the pick, I still say they go with the best available player, like the highest player on their board. And don't be upset if it's not a wide receiver. Don't be upset if it's not a quarterback. If the Saints do need offensive line help, they definitely could and should use it. If you see an edge rusher there, you need perhaps a cornerback there or safety. There's several players or several ways that the Saints can go with that pick, including trading back to acquire more picks. So it's wide open in that direction. You know what I'm saying? Who that to you? Good to see Teal. What up, Teal? He says, bring back Pell. Bye, Williams. I hear you, Teal. Good to see your family. Who that to you? And thank you, Cheryl. Appreciate you, Cheryl. Good to see Cheryl in the chat. Who that for life? Thank you, Cheryl, for her wonderful donation. Appreciate your family as well. Big ups to you. Revolt Control. Who that to you? I see my dog Revolt in the building as well. Revolt says Chason at 24. Would love it. Crash says Justin Jefferson at 24. Revolt says Clavion Chason at 24. Either one of those are terrific to me because you need to address the pass rush because that's a problem. That is a major problem. Remember, we have to get the lines together. We know about the skill positions, but what good is having skill position players when your quarterback is under duress? You got a hole in your offensive lineman. Do any of us have confidence that Nick Eason can take on the left guard position for a full season? Do we have confidence in that? That's the reality. Are we confident with turning the left guard position over to Nick Eason for an entire season? If not, you're probably going to have to go get somebody. And you look at the defensive end. We're talking lines because that's where the game is won and dominated on the line. So if you have a defensive line, which we have a pretty good defensive line in terms of stopping the run, you can't run on us that well. Unless you a zone run team, then you can run on us 8 ways from Tuesday because Dennis Allen don't know for the life of him how to stop the zone run. He better figure that one out because teams are going to introduce that against the Saints a lot more frequently next year. And perhaps the Saints can utilize the zone run in their playbook as well. Take some of this stuff that worked, man. Take it. Take the three running back ideology from Shanahan of San Francisco and incorporate that into your own offense. Also, take the zone run scheme, and you have offensive linemen that's flexible enough to get out there and run and block ahead. Start using that some more, And like I said, I wouldn't be adverse to any of that going on in terms of them getting those guys. That edge rusher, we got to address the edge rusher position. We need an edge rusher or better yet, a third defensive end. We need a third defensive end that can rush the passer. I'm telling you, we need this. I've said that all last year. Remember when I was bringing up the shows? Go back into the catalog and listen to the shows on me questioning whether or not Trey Hendrickson could fill in for an entire season and stay healthy. Remember when I was talking about Carl Granderson? Could he stay out of trouble? Could he be productive? It's time for the Saints to stop experimenting with these pass rushers, these guys that can't fulfill a full season, and go out and get players that have a reputation for being pass rushers that can actually help you. I'm not saying go out and get your Davion Clowney. That's foolish. But I'm saying that there are other pass rushers at your price level that you can go out and get that can actually help the goddamn team. Robert Quinn is a guy, if you have to spend money to get him, go spend a little money on him. Trust me, you will not be upset by adding Robert Quinn behind a guy like Davenport, who seldomly is hurt. He hasn't showed you that he can do an entire season. So you're going to need some production behind him. Plus, it improves that NASCAR package. It really does. Robert Quinn also provides insurance for Davenport or Cam, who was playing hurt last year. He also makes the secondary look better by getting to the quarterback, firing off and making the quarterback uncomfortable. Force him to throw early and use most of the times ending up in interceptions for the secondary. So that's another way to make your secondary, improve your secondary by improving the pass rushing edge to get to the quarterback. Where was that at in the playoffs? It was non-existent. There was no pressure on Kirk Cousins. We could talk about the Saints didn't run the ball, but the defense didn't generate any pass rush on Kirk Cousins. He sat up there all day comfortable. There was no pass rush. And that's something that if you want to take it to the next level, we're going to have to invest in the pass rush. Not some old guy out of prison or not some old guy who was drafted in the 3rd round out of some Florida school, not the big schools, but continually and repetitively is injured every year after year. That's not his fault. But the reality is you have to take the money that you have and spend it smartly. And if I'm going to spend it smartly means I'm going to improve my offensive line. And I'm also going to have an edge rusher that has a history of getting to the quarterback that I can get in the second tier and spend a little money on and be fine. So, I mean, this is stuff that fits the bill. That's just my take on it. You have to improve those lines, man. You got to get your lines together. Elise said, I'm just saying there is no room to move around with a lot of players that are available. We can use and need. I'm just worried we won't get what we need. Oh, we'll definitely get what we need. We'll get what we need. We'll get what we need. No doubt about it. The Saints will be fine in that regard. It's just how you would do it. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's a free agency or the draft. The Saints they'll fulfill the need one way or the other. The only need I think that the Saints won't seriously address is the quarterback of the future. Everything else I think that they get. Perhaps maybe the edge rusher is a concern because they don't see the edge rusher as a problem. I said that last year. They felt comfortable with Hendrickson. They felt comfortable with Granderson. And I'm saying, listen, man, let's cut this out. Then treat the third pass rush position like a real pivotal position because it is. If Davenport goes down with injuries, which I ain't putting it on him, but chances are he is. He did the first 2 years. And, of course, Cam was playing hurt. You're going to need an edge rusher that's going to come in there and keep the pressure up on the man. And then, like I said, he improves your NASCAR package, which they like to run all the time. So if that's the case, you're gonna have to pay for a pass rusher to get to the quarterback. It's a premium on those guys because they sack the quarterback. Things that's real get you paid is interceptions and sacks if you're a defensive player. And if you can generate sacks and interceptions, you're gonna make a lot of money in the NFL. Dallas says we used a 3 running back system and won a Super Bowl. Very true. You did. That's something that he forgot. That's why I'm saying the offense mutated to what we got now, which is a 4-head monster of Brees, Elvin Kamara, Mike Thomas, and Jared Cook. 4-headed monster. Everybody else is starving to death out there. It's like having a big old meal. We sitting at this big table. We sitting at this table and we eating Weedats. We sitting at this table. We eating Weedats chicken, right? We eating Weedats. We all at this big table. My dog Till and the family bringing all this beautiful food out here. Said he putting out the shrimp. You know what I'm saying? He putting out the ranch fries. You know what I'm saying? He putting out all the drinks and everything. You know what I'm saying? And then next thing you know, everybody, the coach standing up there, he looking over everybody. And then when somebody reached for one of them drumsticks and one of the wings to put it in his mouth, Peyton hit him with one of them things you see the 1930 teachers have, them sticks, and hit him on the hand. He'll drop the chicken. And then he only let Mike Thomas eat. He only let Elvin Kamara eat. He only let Jared Cook eat. And he let Drew Brees feed those guys I just mentioned. And then when Ted Ginn tried to reach and get a wing or some fries, some seasoned fries, or some fish or some shrimp or some tenders from Weedats, next thing you know, he gives it only to Cook, Kamara, and Michael Thomas. But he gives 3 big ass plates of Weedat wings, the honey flavor, the ranch flavor, and the lemon pepper. Y'all know I'm hungry. And put all of them and give them to Mike Thomas. And Mike Thomas just sitting up there grabbing from each plate while he fries and every damn thing, stuffing it. That's how it is. That's how it is. And then you have Traquan Smith sitting up there starving. He got a piece of celery on his plate. You got Ted Ginn Jr. He just got dipping sauce on the plate. And to Josh Hill, he got a half a fry on his plate. You know what I'm saying? And they don't even have drinks. Sean Payton won't even let him have drinks. He just got a cup of ice. he chewing on ice in the goddamn plate. Everybody else starving at that some gun. Everybody else starving except for Mike Thomas, Elvin Kamara, Jared Cook, and Drew Brees. All them some guns eating their ass off there, and Ted Ginn Jr. sitting up there with a piece of celery. Traquan Smith got a half a fry. Josh Hill got dipping sauce and a cup of ice. That's how it is, man. Yeah, y'all know I'm hungry right now. But that's how it is right now. And that's what it is. That's my food analogy to describe when I'm saying how the Saints offense is mutated. Now, you know, some time ago, we would spread that ball around. You get some chicken. It'd be like Oprah up in Weedats. She'd be like, you get some chicken, and you get some chicken, and you get some shrimp, and you get some. Oh man. They don't understand till I had to take it back to the food family. I had to show them all them boys out there starving, man. They starving. They sitting there looking at the plates, looking at their chops. Mike Thomas got dipping sauce all over his hands and his face. Oh, man. And Sean Payton sitting there looking at them saying, y'all want some more? Go ahead on and eat. And the rest of them guys sitting there stomach growling and every damn thing. They're on a crash diet. Sean, how you got half your offense on a crash diet, Sean Payton? And that's what I'm saying, man, about how you getting a little too far with yourself. The Saints offensive people say, you know what? We need to get another wide receiver. Yeah, we were saying that last year. And I was saying, well, we got another wide receiver. We got a guy that spent the 3rd round draft pick on out of Central Florida who was supposed to come in here and be the complement to Mike Thomas, named Traquan Smith. This year, which means last year, would have been the supreme time to give him an opportunity to shine. And we know Ted Ginn wasn't the future of the team, but still in all, we let Ted Ginn sit there the whole goddamn year and didn't do a goddamn thing. And all season long, I was lambasting Sean Payton. Well, actually, when we got to the 4th or 5th game, when I recognized Ted Ginn Jr. wasn't doing shit, he was just standing up there. And I said, man, if you're not going to let Ted Ginn Jr. be a part of this offense, Traquan Smith needs to be there. Let him get some real game reps. Sean Payton ignored all that shit. That's why I keep telling people, stop that goddamn stuff about him being a genius. A genius will not, basically, like we use the food analogy. We use the goddamn food analogy, right? Eating that Weedads. A good coach would not starve half his offense out to force feed 4 guys that's making good money. He wouldn't do that. A smart coach wouldn't do that. A smart coach will delegate the workload out across the offense so that it becomes more balanced. Everybody eats. It's a buffet. It's a buffet at Weedads. Everybody could get wings. Everybody can get fish. Everybody can get tenders. Everybody can get whatever they want. They can get the ranch fries. They can get it all, baby. Then at the end of the day, when you leave, they say, no, what? I want to cook at home. Then go get the seasoning too. Whatever. I'm telling you what time it is, because that's what a good coach do. A good coach makes sure all his people are eating. That's not what Peyton did. That's why I'm saying cut that out with that old genius stuff. Cut it out. And that's why you keep getting your ass marched out the playoffs like that, because half your team is eating. The rest of them guys sitting on offense starving. They're not even involved in the game. You think you're going to go out there, you ain't even getting looked at in the game. You out there blocking your ass off and all that. You ain't even getting looked at in the game. And to me, that's an insult. That's why you keep getting marched out the playoffs. Like, why the Saints keep getting knocked out of the playoffs year after year after year, the last 3 years. You know why? Because incomplete ass teams will not win in the playoffs. Incomplete ass teams with incomplete ass play will not win in the playoffs. You think you can whip teams in the playoffs playing with half your team, and then half of them was hurt? Mike Thomas trying to force feed Mike Thomas, and they knew Mike Thomas had a broken hand. They probably knew about Cam Jordan too. I'm telling you, never know with these people. I don't trust them for 8 ways from Tuesday. But when it come down to it, that's why it would have been smart for you to utilize your other people. If you knew Ted Ginn Jr. was on the outs, we knew he was out. We were saying that he was on the way out. Why didn't you put Traquan Smith in to get his development up so he can be ready for the challenge? But you let him there. Not only did you leave him there buried behind an ineffective Ted Ginn Jr., but you also had the audacity to run a 3rd string ass quarterback in his position. You hear what I'm saying here? You had the audacity to run a 3rd string ass quarterback to play wide receiver when you had this man playing wide receiver since he was in freaking high school. Come on, man. Come on. But Sean Payton is a genius. Man, cut that shit out, man. He had the great Saints think tank, man. We don't play no games. We talk about the real and we tell it. I'm not putting nothing on that man out there that he himself didn't do. I'm not putting stuff on out there about him that he didn't do. You hear what I'm saying? I didn't put that out there on him. I'm telling you about stuff that he did and stuff that he did during the season. People want to forget all that and just say, well, we did a good job. We want to see. No, that's not how it go, fam. That's not how I got to go. Take that up out of here, man. We're going to talk about it here, because if it's a problem, then the only way we're going to fix it if we don't talk about it. You got delusional Saints fans out here. Delusional ass people. That's how they live in their life, in a state of delusion. They live in a state of delusion. They just push it on to the back. You know how you deal with stuff the right way? If there's a problem or issue, we confront it and deal with it. If we recognize it's a problem I'm already in solution mode. Trying to make it work. Bottom line. If I recognize it as a problem, I'm in solution mode. Just like what happened with, let's see, what was the situation that happened before? Remember early in the season, we was having issues with the device I had on the for the computer equipment. We was having a problem, was having issues. What happened? We got that damn thing up out of here, was messing up. We had to improve. When you recognize something as a problem, you don't sit up here and worry about the problem. That don't do you no good. You focus on the solution, and that's what we do here at the Great Saints Think Tank. Any industry that is worth something has a think tank. Why? Because it's a collage of ideas looking at the problem to solve it. And that's what the Great Saints Think Tank represent. That's what we are. You know. McCrass liked that. My dog Till, he liked that analogy. But it's true, family, isn't it? I'm not putting nothing on the man that he ain't doing. I'm just telling you that real. And now all of a sudden, what good is it for you to take Jefferson or any other wide receiver to plug over there if you're not going to give him the ball? I mean, what would be the difference? You have to be able to go back to the mentality that you have to spread the ball around. That's the way the Saints are protected. That's the way you protect Drew Brees. That's how you protect other people and make sure they can double Mike Thomas all day. I still got Jared Cook. I still got Josh Hill. I still have a third tight end that you need to get. I still have the complement to Mike Thomas and a slot man. Fulfilled. The Saints went through this whole season. They ain't have a slot man. They ain't have a second wide receiver. They ain't have a third tight end. And then they had a fullback. He was hurt, but they still didn't use him when he was healthy. But you still was able to obtain 13 wins. You got your ass knocked off in the playoffs because incomplete football don't work in the playoffs, man. Come on now. Come on. And one of the most pressing things that the Saints could not get over is the fact that they was not generating any sacks. Toward the end of the year, the sacks went down exponentially. The sacks went down in the ground, went down way in the ground. And you can't have that if you're looking at playoffs, man. That's the bottom line. The reality at the end of the day is that that's what we're dealing with. You can't have that. If you want to win games in the playoffs, you have to be able to win games on the line. You have to be able to run the football, and you have to be able to get pressure on the team's opposing quarterbacks. You have to do that. Who that to you, Travis 504? I see you, family. All right, family, just to let y'all know, the live lines is open. We in the building. Good to see you. Please hit the like button, family, enjoying the content. And if you're enjoying the Saints content, please hit the like button. It helps the show out, helps the algorithm out for the shows. The show's been picking up. A lot of people have been sharing the shows on their social media feeds. I thank you guys for sharing the shows on your social media feeds. I thank you guys for doing all that, going beyond for the Great Saints Think Tank. If you want to join the Great Saints Think Tank's group on Facebook, it is there as well. Feel free to go and look it up on Facebook when you get an opportunity. Remember, Great Saints Think Tank is on Facebook. Join the group. It's a Facebook group where we can talk about Saints issues as well as the season starts ratcheting up toward free agency. So to get back into it, the live line is open. Family 504-475-4482. Live line is open. 504-475-4482 for the rest of the duration of the next hour and a half. I'm opening up the phone lines for family members. Questions, concerns, or comments. Feel free to ask any question, concern, or comment that you might have. You could call the Great Saints Think Tank and talk to me and let the rest of the family members out there. 504-475-4482. The live line is open. Dr. Key says, hey, Q, at this point, Sean Payton, a prideful offensive coordinator. He's not being a head coach, not elevating all his players. I agree, Dr. Key, you got the recipe. Or better yet, Dr. Key, you got the prescription. You got the prescription for the affliction. No doubt about it for Sean Payton. Great analysis there, Dr. Key, because the reality is he's not acting like a head coach. Because if he was a head coach, he would have seen just what I was talking about the production of wide receivers not named Mike Thomas, because he was the offensive coordinator calling. It's the reason why you have guys. If you got successful people in the world of business, People are successful because they have the ability to utilize. That's a skill. You don't make millions of dollars or hundreds of thousands of dollars by yourself. You have to have the ability to be able to organize people around you and treat them correctly. And y'all all go up, because you're going to need people. If you're looking to become wealthy in this world, you need people around you that you can count on, and you need to treat them right. You have to have the right people around you to be able to help elevate you to that level. That's the reality. That's what you need. And if you have offensive coordinator like Pete Carmichael, who's been with him since he's been down here, if that's the case, he's called the offensive coordinator. I didn't give him the title. Peyton did. You need to let him do his job. And you have people saying, "Oh no, man, let Coach Peyton keep." Then why is it the need? Why is it the need to have an offensive coordinator? Then why is Pete Carmichael having the title offensive coordinator? You know. Give me a second. Let me go here. Let me show you something. Old Fire Marshal Bill used to say back in the day. Let me show you something here. We're gonna go up here on the Saints site, and I'm gonna show you what this is, because I want y'all to understand something. The man is the Saints offensive coordinator. Let me pull up the team staff right quick. Give me a second and I'm going to share my screen. And we're going to go over this and show you that if you the head coach means that you the head of your entire team, meaning that you are supposed to oversee the actions of all the coaches. Now, if you are a head coach, that is the duties of the head coach. I don't know what kind of freaky thing they got going on over there. Now, as you can see right here, Sean Payton's up there looking like Frankenstein. He's the head coach. And look at this is his coaching staff. Look up underneath that there. Look at that, offensive coaches. What is that, man? What is his title? What is his title? What does it say? What does it say? What does it say? It says Pete Carmichael, the offensive coordinator. Assistant head coach Dan Campbell. Then you have Curtis Johnson, former Tulane head coach, as the senior offensive assistant. You got Ronald Curry over the wide receivers. Joe Lombardi is the quarterbacks coach. See, at one period of time, Carmichael was the quarterbacks coach too, until Lombardi came back, because Lombardi left, and I think he went to Green Bay. Then he came back. Now he's the quarterbacks coach. So you got assistant head coach, tight end Campbell, who was a former head coach and lead with the Dolphins during the interim basis. You got Ronald Curry at wide receivers. You got quarterbacks coaches Joe Lombardi, and then you got Kevin Petrie, assistant to the head coach, offensive assistant. We go down the rest of these. You got Dan Rushar, who's a damn good offensive line coach. Big ups to Dan Rushar, who's excellent. Joel Thomas is excellent too, as a good running backs coach. Really excellent player as well. And then DJ Williams, offensive assistant. And you got Dole right there as another offensive assistant. Now, we're going to talk about just the offensive people. But at one time, Carmichael had the quarterback's head coach thing too. Now he's the offensive coordinator. You got head coach Coach Frankenstein right here. And then you got Carmichael sitting up here. Offensive coordinator. This is from the Saints' own website, man. This is from the Saints website here. And I show y'all stuff like this just to empower. The point that I'm making is that if you're a head coach, you can't say, well, Q, you looking at it and such. If the man is the offensive coordinator, then when does he get the opportunity to coordinate? Why is the head coach calling the plays if you got an offensive coordinator? If that's the case, just fire the goddamn offensive coordinator and save some money. Save some money. You know, that's the mentality. If you got an offensive coordinator, let him call the plays and you do what a head coach is supposed to do. Bottom line. That's all I'm saying. It makes sense. That's how most teams that do it the right way. They rely upon the people they hired that's trustworthy enough to make things happen on the right spectrum. You know, ask any successful person about the skill of utilizing people. I've read so many books still about it. Warren Buffett was big on it. Andrew Carnegie, that wrote several business books the library of books that was supposed to elevate the working man to wealth levels like he had in his lifetime. And that was his parting gift to the world. Andrew Carnegie's, after all the stuff he did to tear humanity down, on his deathbed, he commissioned a man named Napoleon Hill to go out and and talk to all his rich friends and tell them all about the lessons of success so they can enjoy it going into the future. That was his gift to try to at least, I guess, make back what he took, with all the stuff he would do. He was once the richest man on the world. But the reality is, even a lot of the information that's out there teaches you about, in order to become really wealthy, you have to know how to utilize people around you to help you accomplish your goal. They have to be able to see your vision, to be able to help you, assist you to get to those levels. And they realize that when you rise, they rise together, because a rising tide brings up all ships. That's the reality. You have to have the vision, understand that. It's only so many people in the world that think that they can do it by themselves, and they come up woefully short. You cannot do it by yourself. And it's foolhardy for you to think that you can. You're going to need help along the way. There's nothing wrong with that. But this is what I'm saying. If you assemble the staff like Sean Payton did, he got a pretty damn good staff. You have to let these men or women do their jobs because you hired them in that capacity. I don't see no reason why Carmichael shouldn't be calling these plays. He needs to oversee the whole team. And plus, that brings in that accountability model, that brings back accountability. If Carmichael's not doing the job, the pressure's on Carmichael. Sean Payton has to do something about it. It brings accountability back. There's no accountability if he's screwing up the plays like he's been screwing up the plays in the playoffs and during several loss periods. How are you going to get him to come up off of that? There is no coach that can lambaste him that still got a job there. Who knows? But at the end of the day, that's some of the thinking. 504-475-4482. 504-475-4482. Good to see the family members in the chat. Tino Bills, what up, fam? Good to see you in the chat. Who that to you as well? Good to see you. Iceman says, I can't get through, Q. Hold on here, Iceman. Hold on. Let's reset it. Okay. Try again, Iceman. I don't know what happened. It reset on its own for whatever reason. But you should be able to get through now. Give it a shot, fam. 504-475-4482. 475-4482. 504-475-4482. JT said I'll be the first to say Saints will get a linebacker from Cleveland in the pen. Among other things. What up, fam? Thank you for calling Sports Coma. Who I'm speaking with?
You talking to the Ice Man.
What up, Ice Man? How you doing, fam?
And I'm all right. I'm pretty good. Man.
Good, bro. I ain't hear from you in a little bit, bro.
I was paying attention. I came in midway while you was lambasting Sean Payton.
I stay lambasting Sean Payton.
He deserved to be lambasted.
You ain't lying, bro. But what's on your mind, fam?
I had a couple things I need to get off my chest, man.
All right, brother.
Listen, but before I get into this, folks, I'm just going to say it right now. This is about to be very controversial, folks. I'm not trying to be, the person that's being negative, but I got to call it how I see it, man. As the Who Dat Nation and Black and Gold fan base, I don't think that I'm the only one that's disgusted with the almost, would have, could have, should have, would have, could have been, and, all of this. And I wanted to ask your personal, opinion, Q. Is it because we haven't had a coach that has given us the most success like Sean? Is that why we're more lenient with him? Because I feel like if this was another coach, we wouldn't have the I don't know. I just feel like we would be more on top of another coach. But I think we hold Sean very dearly to us because we never had this much success before. Like you said in your previous video, or your previous podcast, you said that you've been a Saints fan a long time and you witnessed the 20 years, from the 60s to the 80s of just the foolery,
Yep.
And, Sean has given us, he's created a staple. He's made, us a winning franchise and put people in position. And, with the coaching staff and the quarterback, Drew Brees, he's made us a very marketable franchise. We can actually pull players in now. I feel like the Who Dat Nation, it's kind of tough because I feel like we're torn, and that's why the Who Dat Nation is so kind of divided on some issues. Like, because I feel like Sean Payton, while I love what he's done, I feel like he's also cost us some opportunities. And, if we're going to be real about it, I said this, on a couple podcasts ago, the Chiefs had to wait 50 years. And Sean Payton has blown multiple opportunities. I mean, let's just call it what it is. Like, he has had, 2017, you know what I'm saying? You down 17 to the Vikings. You should have advanced farther than that. You know what I mean?
Right.
But it's a recurring theme that, for whatever reason, him and Drew Brees, and I love Drew Brees too, but him and Drew Brees, it just seemed like they're more concerned about records than they are about winning. And that's what matters, because it's disrespectful to not have Drew Brees in the top, 100. We all remember that happened, folks.
Yep.
Let's not forget that. They didn't have Drew in the top 100. But let's take a deep dive into why. It's because, he only has one ring. He hasn't won. Numerous times to put the doubters to bed that, this was not a fluke. I can really do this. I am that dude. And, him, it's just like everything that has happened in these last couple of years has kind of, it hasn't tainted Sean's image yet, but it makes me feel like maybe he's not as good as I thought he was. Or maybe he's too selfish to get out of his own way. What you think about that, Q?
I mean, that's great points, man. And I'm with you on pretty much 100% of what you're saying. I think after a period of time, when you don't change up your staff, or like, say, for instance, if you're a person that's good at self-evaluation, then you tend to look at yourself to see if you're more impactful. If you could be a little bit more organized, you'd be more successful. If you can be a little bit more efficient, you can be more impactful. Stuff like that, slight changes, or if you need big ones, but usually change happens in increments. Small ends up becoming big. It takes a lot of small things to equal a big thing. And I think a lot of the shifting that we see dealing with Sean Payton over these 14 years of him being a Saints head coach, 14 years here now, of him being with the New Orleans Saints since 2006? So he's been with the Saints for a very long time. And yes, the fan base is in love with Sean Payton because they've never had this much success under any coach. I mean, even more so than what Jim Mora did. He's surpassed Jim Mora's records and all. And really prior to that, there were no other winning coaches down here. There's a bunch of coaches I cannot to even much want to admit, guys like Bum Phillips and, oh my goodness, people like Haslett and Mike Dicker and all these guys, you know what I'm saying? Even guys that that came here with receipts and resumes weren't able to do anything here. So he was the only one that had sustained success over a long period of time. He's the only one he has more playoff victories than the rest of them. He's the only one with a Super Bowl ring. So to a degree, we came here to a city that was needing that, and he was able to capitalize off it with money and draft picks and able to build a team into a winning organization. And that's been his mainstay over a period of time. And a lot of people lay off for Sean Payton because of the winning in the regular season. Now, if he was falling through the floor with 8-8 and 6-10 in the regular season and not making the playoffs, then the Saints fans will not play with you. We real tough when it come down to stuff like that. But when it come down to him getting the team to the playoffs every year and then they're losing, a certain amount of the fan base is cool with just making the playoffs. I hate to tell you that, but that's the reality. And there is a large segment of the fan base that wants the team to go beyond and win Super Bowls. Some people just happy with playoffs. And a lot of the organizations, administrators at the top, is just happy with getting to the playoffs. They have games are sold out for the foreseeable future. The dome is basically free and paid for by taxpayers' dollars. Another $100+ million of renovations are set up to go on this year and next year into the future, putting windows on the dome and all that type of shit. But what good is doing all that? Like I said in the previous spiel and rant of fixing the dome up for you and putting windows and all that around there, and you can't even win a playoff game. So, I mean, in the end, Sean Payton is I hate to say it, a prisoner of his success in so far as, You got to learn from the past, whether it's good or bad. And some people, to a degree, don't see the past as good or bad because they're getting something from it. And when anytime you learning from what some people would consider negative or positive experiences, as long as you gain, it's always a positive. So the mentality is Sean Payton is not learning from the failures of the past, and he damn sure ain't learning from the successes, because the offense, even though it's still a top 5, top 10 offense in the league, it still is it's falling flat against the teams that get into the playoffs that know how to defeat you. And he has not accepted that as a reality. And until he does, he will continue to lose in the playoffs because, and I'll give you an example. The good teams that can institute the zone running schemes know that the Saints defense cannot stop zone running schemes. We know that. That's a severe weakness. And the teams that know how to run the zone, like the Vikings and the Niners, who utilize it against the Saints, and even the 49ers, the Falcons to a degree, utilize zone running against the Saints, has success against the Saints. Because Dennis Allen does not have an answer for that. Now, if we know that, they should know that, and they should be focused on putting things in place to stop that. On the offensive side, and I've cited this count, you won't hear nobody talking like this. But on our offensive side, they won't say nothing bad about the offense, except for we need a compliment to Mike Thomas. It's more than that. Because even if you gave him the compliment, if you don't adjust the philosophy, where you go back to 5 years ago, when you would spread the ball around to the open person, you will continue to lose in the playoffs, because you have to be able to spread the ball around, and that makes the team unpredictable. You don't know who's going to get it this time or that time. And last year, the Saints played around with young wide receivers when they really didn't have to. They had several veteran options in free agency that they could address when Matthews left out of here prematurely. Who would really have helped them when Rashard Matthews left out of here? The Saints could have addressed the position via the free agency period, but they laid back with undrafted guys. That's good. Sometimes that's good, but when you know you got a 40-something-year-old quarterback, you have to give him trustworthy weapons that can help him along the way. Now, getting a guy like Jefferson on the outside to help you is fantastic, because that goes a long way. And with Mike Thomas and Jefferson, they'll grow, they'll get good. But that slot man like a Randall Cobb, a guy with that speed, a veteran that he can trust, that's pivotal. Getting that third tight end so they can institute the third tight end plays again. Running the 3 tight end plays was a staple when the Saints offense was damn near unstoppable. When Drew Brees, they just was running packages, the 3 tight end packages, running the 4 wide receiver packages, having the 3 running back packages. All these packages you couldn't stop. But Saints are going away from that approach because he is more enthralled with using certain skill set players to drive the offense. For whatever reason, to me, that's stupid. But there's nobody pulling his coattail to tell him, what you're doing that's why you're losing these goddamn games.
It's not working.
It's not working, so you're going to have to change it. So my thing is, will he change? And I say he has to change, because the Saints, another wipeout in the playoffs will definitely impact his status here. No doubt about it. And after this year's over with, he'll have 2 more years. What is it? He coming into his 4th year, the 5 year. Last year was his 5th year deal. He coming to 4 years or 4 years left. Next year will be 3rd year. 3rd year left in his contract that he signed, the 5-year contract he signed last year. So if that's indeed the case, we not going to tolerate no more playoff failures, especially when you got bounced out of here in the playoffs, in the wild card round, in your own building. So, the pressure is ratcheted up to the point where he has to change, because guess what? The true Saints family members are taking it to him. The butcher taking it to him. The valet taking it to him. People on the street is talking to him and telling him what you're doing, asking them questions. It's pissing them off, but it's getting under his skin, and it's doing something that the people in the building are doing. They're not questioning them and asking you, what are you doing this for? They're just letting them do what he want to do in that, and Tom Benson wouldn't have let that go. But you got guys in there, Mickey Loomis don't know enough about play calling to call Sean Payton down. And Jeff Ireland ain't going to do it. So, who's going to do it from his staff? We just looked at the whole roster of his offensive coaches. None of them dudes going to call or pull Sean Payton's coattail and tell him, man, what the hell is you doing running that end around on 4th and 1, or that failed 2-point conversion in the playoff game? Man, what is you doing? You killing us out here. None of them will tell them they end up going up out of here like a Lee Torrance or somebody else that said that stand up to them. That's why it's up to you, up to me, and everybody else. Trust me, it's not their team, it's your team. And when it come down to we speaking like this, trust me, them words get back to them. I'm telling you, they do. They listening,
man.
And you got. I'm telling you, they listening.
Now you go ahead, Q.
No, Iceman, you got it, baby. I'm done.
All right, I'm gonna just say this, and I'm gonna get up out of here. I know the family members waiting. I'm tired of the preseason warriors. Like, if can we get some? You know what I'm saying? I'm tired of the unproven commodities. You know what I'm saying? All preseason warriors and all of this nonsense. We want results.
Yeah.
And not just in the regular season, man. I'm tired of 13-3 and bounced out, man.
Yeah.
We want results.
Yes, sir.
And not just, and I'm talking about results in the postseason, not just the regular season, man.
Right.
And on that note, man, thank you for taking my call, man.
Thank you, Ice, man. Appreciate the passion, my brother. Who that to you? And glad to hear from you, brother.
All right, who that to you, man?
Who that? That's Ice, man. Always keeping it real, man. Love to hear from the Ice, man. He lighting up Sean Payton, the Ice man putting the heat on him. But that's what it is, family. 504-475-4482 live line is open for the next hour and some change, man. So if you want to get in there, get on up in there and talk to your boy. Questions, concerns, comment. Appreciate the Ice man with that. But that's a part of the story. People say family. A lot of family members ask that question in chat. You know, in chats and emails saying, Q, what is, you know, what is it? You know, who that to you, Derek Hennessy? Good to see you in the chat, family. And a lot of people ask that question, you know, about is Sean Payton going to do enough? Is he going to change? The heat ratcheting up every year. See, the Butcher scenario was really wanted because a lot of people feel like the Butcher, and it finally made it to the mainstream papers. And see, when you have a large sentiment of the fan base thinking like how the great things think, then you start seeing articles to that point, because people are in a constant state of thought. They're always trying to figure out, especially if you're a Saints reporter, you can write on the regular stuff, or when you hear a new line of thinking, it forces you to have new thoughts of how to view this here thing. And it's a reason why there's a failure there. It's a reason why, and it's not just fluke failure. It's 3 years of consistent failure in the playoffs. How is this happening? You know, it's a reason behind it. In these games, these playoff games, the Saints are starting off slow. They're making a lot of errors, you know, and they like the Minnesota game of last year, of this past season, they look slow. They look sloppy. They look disconnected. They look non-enthused. They were lethargic. They came out flat, and their coach was everything. He was everything that all those attributes I just said was what he was. And his team looked like it, even to the point where his team was frustrated. They were cussing and fussing at each other on the sidelines. That's something that you don't see in a well-disciplined team like the Saints. And I often said before the playoffs started that he allowed Club Saint to go on too much when they had the Zelda games or whatever it was, not Zelda, what's the game? Mario Brothers, not Mario Brothers. Damn it, what was it called? I forgot the game. I can't think of it again, but y'all know what I'm talking about. They had the video games in there. You heard them in the background. You heard the music playing in the background. You had too much Club Saint going on. And when it came down to the playoffs, you know what they did? Absolutely nothing. He was supposed to turn all that shit off and focus on beating the Vikings. And you went in there slow, sloppy, lethargic, and you got your ass kicked. Then at the end of the game, you're going to come out here to the Saints family members and tell them that the Vikings was a better team. And we supposed to swallow that? No. Why were you guys lethargic and flat during the entire game except for the last 5 minutes of the game where you couldn't even institute a 2-minute offense? Why? You know, no, we was just back. No, the Vikings didn't have nothing to do with you going up to the line of scrimmage and snapping the ball before you even looked around to see if anybody was set right. Then got a penalty for it, which would end up losing 10 yards and plus a 10-second run off of the clock. Come on, man. Don't hit me with that Minnesota Vikings nonsense. They moved in. They had pass rushers to the interior of the line and was rushing up the center of the line to discomfort Drew. You know what the recipe for that was? To turn the running game on. Turn the running game on them. and let the linemen, the offensive guards, do what they do best, which is run block. And watch how the Vikings would have hurry up and flip those defensive pass rushers back outside. But you didn't want to do that because you wanted to show up Zimmer by showing him you can beat him the way you play and that you didn't have to make the adjustments. That's the truth. But you'll never hear them say that in the media. But that's okay. It's coming a time where you're going to see those stories written. I promise you that much. And it's coming real soon. 504-475-4482. 504-475-4482. Feel free to call the number 504-475-4482. Live lines open, family. Got about an hour and 10 minutes left on the stream. Feel free to get your call in there. Talk to the Great Saints Think Tank if you have any questions, concerns, or comments that you want to make present. Any free agents that you think the Saints should go after. Any draft picks that you want to go after. Any thoughts on the virus situation and everything like that. Yeah, here's your chance to get involved in the discussion. 504-475-4482. The live line is open. Paul says it don't make sense to keep all the superstar position coaches on this team, and Saints let Nolan go, but keep Dennis Allen. Just silly how Peyton is running the team. He also says J.D. Roberts and Mike Dicker and Haslett were the worst coaches in Saints history. Hank Stram didn't get a fair chance to turn the Saints around. You won a Super Bowl in KC. Coach with resume couldn't do it down here. They didn't want to spend the money. You can't win if you don't spend the money. Tom Benson, it took him finally realizing that you have to spend money to win. And the Saints will get these guys. They will wake these guys up, get their coaches going, get them their seasons going. The next thing you know what they end up doing? Kicking them out, getting them out of here. They wouldn't want to pay them. That's what happened with guys like Bear. That happened with guys like Sam Mills, the guys with Pat Swilling, Ricky Jackson. When all these great players ended up going somewhere else because the Saints didn't want to pay the guys. And that's stupid. And that's some of the things while we were lambasted as over these years. This incarnation of the Saints, they will spend the money. They will spend the money and they spending the money, but they're just happy with 13-3. You don't walk to the press conference smiling at the end of the games with 13-3. I don't want to hear that or see that shit. I will come out on you if I see you smiling on some Aaron Brooks type shit, which what Drew Brees did last year after the playoff loss, or with Sean Payton, stupid dumbass, not a genius, running out here want to go and be a commentator with the 49ers and Vikings games and try to tell them how they should beat the team that he couldn't beat. Now you tell me if that makes sense. You shouldn't have had nothing to do with that. How do you then say, since we got eliminated, I'm going to go jump on the telecast the next week? Does that suspect to you? That don't make no sense to me. That's why I stay riding on them like I do, because you should have stayed out of that. You didn't have no business. You should have stayed out of there. You have no business getting up there in the Vikings and 49ers games trying to tell them how to beat them and then watch the Vikings lose to the 49ers the way we were advocating and the scouting report was advocating. That's why I ride on Sean Payton as much as I do, man. Sean Payton is arrogant, and I love that. I love that. You think you arrogant? You think you got all the answers, partner? Well, we gonna see this whole season. I'm gonna be riding on you, partner. I'm gonna be riding on you. I'm gonna be riding on you and riding on you hard. I'm gonna be riding on you hard. I ain't giving you no break. I ain't giving you no quarter. I'm not playing with you. You won't talk nasty to the Saints Nation only because they're asking you questions about your stupid ass play calling. I'm gonna be here riding on you all year long, and I don't give a goddamn how you feel about it. If you don't like it, get on the show and talk to me. Get on the show and talk to me and tell me how you feel and what's going on. He ain't gonna get on here. You know why? Because they don't like going somewhere they can't control the scene. They don't like going nowhere where they can't control the scene. They don't like doing it because I'm gonna ask you anything and anything and anything. And can you answer it? They don't like it. They like shit to be scripted. There's a lot of Hollywood, a lot of fakeness in it. But we keep it football, we keep it common sense, and we keep it critical thinking. But I tell them, any one of them, you can come on here and explain yourself. Talk to the Great Saints Think Tank, and some stuff going. We making some stuff happen behind the scenes. So just be patient, family. Some stuff happening. Let's see who else going on here. Crash says, Sean, too much control. No one questions this dude. Nobody. He like a dictator over there. Dictator Peyton. Dictator Frankenstein. That's what he looked like over there. Dictator Frankenstein. Any offensive coordinator or anybody else who got a different thinking, like, man, you shouldn't run it. That's stupid as hell. Oh, you got to go. That you bring in fresh offense, you bring in fresh defensive minds. You bring in, well, he ain't bring anybody new except for the guy that came over from college to be the defensive assistant who replaces Lee Torrance. The linebackers coach was replaced by a guy that was already on the staff. So in the offensive style of things, you didn't bring any fresh ideas to the offensive room. It's still the same minds in the building that's not contributing anything to the conversation. If you can't tell Sean Payton to stop running dumbass plays like that, you're not helping the team. You're not helping. You're not helping by being a gutless, spineless yes man. Pull his coattail, or better yet, let me do it. I'll do it. I'll do it. They ain't willing to do it. I'll do it. I'll pull your coattail. I'll pull the goddamn sumbitch every week here on the Sports Coma, the Great Saints Tank. Because you got a problem, that's all right. We'll fix you. Let me see. Let's keep going here. Paul says, I used to love when Saints went to 5 wide out sets a few years. Oh, that's a thing of the past. That's a thing of the past. You can't have a 5 wide receiver playing. They don't even have 5 wide receivers to run out there. Think about that. When the last time you had 5 wide receivers? The goddamn guy using a third string wide quarterback as a wide receiver. You tell me how far we've fallen from an offensive perspective. And they're saying they're utilizing Hill as a wide receiver and all these other positions to spark the offense. And my question the last time was, why and how in the hell did we let him get away with that excuse? Why would you need to spark an offense controlled by Drew Brees, Mike Thomas, Elvin Kamara, and Jared Cook? Why would Taysom Hill, the third string quarterback? No, he uses Taysom Hill because it's easier to use one player as opposed to use 5 of them. I don't have to worry about focusing on getting Traquan Smith together. I don't have to worry about getting Ted Ginn Jr. together. I don't have to worry about getting Emmanuel Butler together. I don't have to worry about getting LaJardan Humphrey together. I don't have to worry about getting Austin Carr together. I don't have to worry about getting what's the other wide receiver? Keith Kirkwood. I don't have to worry about getting Keith Kirkwood together. I don't have to get worried about putting anybody together. I just roll out Taysom Hill and make him play quarterback. Let him play running back. Let him play wide receiver. Let him play tight end. Let him play special teams. And then my excuse to do it was he's the heir apparent of the team. When Drew retires, we're gonna put a guy that threw 15 passes in his entire pro career as the franchise quarterback, even though he's 2 years older than Teddy Bridgewater, who has several more years of experience, that won 5 games in a row for me to keep me relevant in the playoff hunt. But I will let him walk, then lie to him and let him walk, then lie to this other guy and tell him you the future, even though you only threw 15 passes last year, and then we sit up there and believe us. What's wrong with us? Who that to you, Zach Lane? Who that to you, Lane Johnson? Good to see you, fam. Zach Holden, who that to you, Zach? Good to see you in the chat. Verlin, who that to you, Verlin? But that's the reality of what we did. If this is the Great Saints think tank, and it is. And this, we encourage critical thinking of the highest order here. And that not just sports related, but of everything. You don't just turn the critical thinking mind off when you leave here and start talking about everything in life. This is an opportunity to use critical thinking in a Saints platform. But we practice it throughout life, period. But my thought process is, why in the world would I buy that about the man that threw 15 passes for his entire career being the franchise quarterback, even though he's 2 years older than the guy that just went 5-0 with me, and he got several more years of experience, and he was a former first-round draft pick, and he won playoff games, and he came back from injury to prove that he's worth something, and the team loved him, and he took a pay cut to stay with you when he could have got a lot of money from Miami. It don't matter whether or not how he would have did in Miami. It's the fact that he would have been financially more suitable with his family. He took a cut and pay to come here and be with the Saints and was impactful here. And the fan base loved him. I got all these ands, but when it comes to Taysom Hill, people believe what Sean Payton's saying about he's the franchise quarterback. How is it even possible? You know, how do you get, we need Taysom to spark the offense. Taysom spark, we need him to create a spark. Why would you need a backup quarterback to create a spark? The question is, why don't you have sparky players already enthralled in your offense? Why haven't you done a better job of fixing the wide receiver position? You let Ted Ginn Jr. go the whole year with looking crappy and garbage. You could have put Traquan Smith in there. You know, you could have cut Ted Ginn and brought a wide receiver off the free agency. You could have traded for a wide receiver. Anything. Do something. Don't you just sit up there and let it fester away and die. And your answer is, no, I'm just going to put Taysom Hill there. Oh, we need a third string tight end? Oh, don't worry about it. I'm going to put Taysom Hill there. And then you got people like Dwayne Washington who ready to run the ball, getting snaps stolen from him, and Latavius Murray, who bull over backs, 2 north-south runners that can run the ball for you, getting snaps stolen from him because they won't use Taysom Hill in the playoff game against the Minnesota Vikings when he's running the ball. Imagine how it would look if you actually use a real running back named Latavius Murray to run against his former team. You think he'll be a little bit extra motivated to beat the Vikings' ass in the dirt? You think he would have took on a run over 3 or 4 more of them Viking purple people over there? No, that's what I'm saying. We don't buy it. I don't buy what you're selling. I don't buy what you're selling. I think you full of bunk. And I'm going to keep telling and showing it out through the duration of time. The reality, if I see it and I see it from afar, I can tell you they got people in that building that see full of bunk. That's tired of dealing with his arrogance. You're going to start seeing cracks in the armor of Sean Payton. And that only happens over a pre-long period of time because he's been there for 14 years. His mentor, Bill Parcells, told him you should be on these somewhere 5 years. After that, go. That's how Bill Parcells operated when he was the Giants, when he was with the Cowboys, when he was with Miami. Bill Parcells' philosophy said you never stayed nowhere past 5 years because your message gets stale. Sean Payton been with the Saints for 14 years. He got 1 Super Bowl and been ousted out of the playoffs the last 3 damn years. But you got people out there, like I told you, pathetic as it may sound, who really content on just making the playoffs. As long as we make the playoffs, I'm happy. I'm happy just as long as we make the playoffs. But let them don't make the playoffs, then I'll get mad. And I'll join you in the great think tank. Man, get out of here. We don't need you. You're a fool. You're a fool. What fool would be happy with the playoffs? You get a Super Bowl trophy from just making the playoffs, chump? Huh? They're the type of dudes that put NFC crown on their wall. You notice that NFC champions hat that I usually had that I was wearing during the playoffs? I don't wear this goddamn hat no more. I took the sumbitch off the moment I seen them fall out the playoffs. You know why? Because I'm not happy with NFC South champion just alone. I'm not happy with just this. So I don't wear the sumbitch. If they won the Super Bowl, it'd have been me wearing the Super Bowl hat. The Super Bowl hat. Notice I took this thing off the moment they fell out the playoffs because I'm not proud to be just NFC South champions. You are a buffoon if you like that kind of stuff. Why would you sell it? There's no trophy for this. There's no acknowledgement for this. This is nothing. It is merely a landmark, a post, a milepost that you pass on the road to your destination. That's almost saying, like if I'm going to Disney World, and I got the kids and everybody in the trunk, and we headed to Disney World. The moment I pass in front of the Miami or the Florida state sign, once I cross the border, the going into Florida, once I cross the state line, going into Florida, that'll be good. That's me like saying, okay, we done made it to Florida. We can turn around and go back home. Oh goodness, we'll see. Come on, man. That's what kind of thinking that is, really? That's what y'all dealing with, man. Y'all got to work on yourself, man. You got to work on yourself, man. That don't mean a hill of beans, man. That don't mean a hill of brown stuff that smell bad. You heard me? That don't mean a hill of that. Because at the end of the day, it's not about that. It's about the Super Bowl, the end result. And that's why a lot of the great think tank people are upset about what's going on when you have buffoons out there happy with the hat I just had. 504-475-4482. 504-475-4482. 504-475-4482 is the live line to call. Let's see. JT says, hey, Paul, don't have a number 2 wide receiver less than 5 set. Iceman says, take all the ping pong tables down. Verlin says, who that found out was going to stay quiet but can't do it. Don't let Brees off the hook. He's going to be looking at certain name players if Brees spent time with the wide receivers like diamonds and commercials. All right. Crash says the weather here in Valo is rainy today. Going to take the wife out for dinner. Be well. All right. Thank you, Crash, for joining us. Big ups to you, fam. Gundam says if they happy with 13-3, how are they planning to win it all next year to make a run? Yeah, that's the reality, Gundam, is that we as a base or a people, period, have to decide on where is the goal. The goal is big blue chips. You don't bring Drew Brees back and pay him $25+ million or whatever it may end up being just to pilot your team to another double-digit win in the regular season. They don't give trophies for winning in the regular season. They give you a NFC. What is it? It ain't no trophy. What is it, like a banner or something? But what good is that if you don't win? What good is doing that? What good is having that? It's nothing. It's nothing by itself. is merely a mile board or a mile post on the way to the destination. It's not where you want to stop. It's simply something you pass on your way there. It's just what it is. 504-475-4482. Questions, concerns, comments. JT say, hey, Q, I listen to you because you're the only one saying what I'm thinking. Thank you, JT. Appreciate it. Lane says, as a Bengals fan, I'll trade you Zach Taylor for Sean Payton. Sean Payton, I don't think Zach Taylor, I don't know enough about Zach Taylor. I know he just got there, but give him a little time. I think Zach Taylor will do some stuff with Burrow there. No, Lane, you can keep him. We just got to get this fool to run the ball, and it's coming. We're going to be all right. He says, thank you. Let's see what else we got. What else we got here? Some of the family members chiming in as well. Crash says, Sherbert, any good in coverage? Sherbert, in good in coverage. He's mostly like a run defender, but I've seen him play coverage all right. I wouldn't say that he's terrific in coverage, but he has a nose for the football. He's always where he's supposed to be. You know what I mean, family? He has a nose for the football, like so many other really great players in the league. Having a nose for the ball, like Tyrann Mathieu and the rest of them, they be able to get to the ball. What up, fam? What's going on with you, Paul? How you feeling, bro?
What's you say about it, Q?
I'm doing good, my brother. How you feeling?
Man, Q, I was loving that Disney World now. You know what, Q, you do that to your spirit, I'm going to tell you what they're going to do. They're going to put you out the car, call Uber, say, you go back, hightail it back to New Orleans. We going to Disney World, man. They were like, no, Daddy, we don't want to do this.
I said we had Florida. It's the home of Disney. Yeah. Get up there, and next thing you know, I said that's good enough. We're gonna turn around and go back home.
Your children have a stone cold fit. You hear me? Right. Daddy, why you gonna bring us way over here? We ain't going. We
ain't going nowhere. We went to Florida. That was good enough, man. Could you understand how? But that's how some people think. You know, I'm just putting it in commonsensical, taking it out of the reference of football and just putting it into real life situations and in an enlightening manner. But that's the scenario that most people are comfortable with, just winning, just getting to the playoffs. We shouldn't have that mentality, Brother Paul. We shouldn't have that mentality.
You should have it. After you win a Super Bowl, all mediocrity ain't going to be tolerated. I don't know why they don't get the message, Q.
They will, because the pressure, every year the pressure continues to get ratcheted up on Coach Payton, and I think that's a part of the message, is that the heat's on. Like I make mention of the fact that you have a lot of the family members, a lot of the people that's actually involved with watching the game, and you have, like I said, the butcher and the rest of the people are concerned about some of these things. But at the end of the day, that's why I said the heat is ratcheted up. You got Drew for one more year, and of course the ideology that they're definitely shifting their thought process by the mere fact that they're looking at wide receivers. You know, so you starting to understand, hey, we was bad at wide receiver last year. Really, you know, we were saying that during the middle of the season, that you force feeding Michael Thomas, you force feeding Alvin Kamara, but nobody else is getting the ball. You know, there's no rhythm, no else.
Running a left hand offense with Michael Thomas, good thing he didn't go down during the season. We would have been funky wild out. I'm telling you that right now.
Yeah, and that's a part of why a lot of people think that he had that bad performance. He had a broken hand in that Minnesota game. So that goes to show you.
Like I said, I don't believe in luck, but we looked down because Cam and Mike would have went down early with them injuries. Ooh, you talking about tough? Oh my goodness.
Yeah, imagine that.
He wanted to pull his hair out then.
Yeah, he would be forced to go to guys that he didn't rely on upon all year. But that's the problem. That's the reason why the coach had those issues in the first place. You're creating problems for yourself when you rely on just those players. It's a team game. You got to be, if you're going to have those guys out there with uniform on, you got to have to spread the ball around to keep them involved in offense. And that's something that I think that the Saints will get right. I do think the Saints will address the wide receiver position better this year. I think they'll get multiple wide receivers via free agency and the draft. You'll see talent there, and I do think the Saints will try to get back to spreading that football around. They do recognize that they need a complement player opposite of Mike Thomas, that Ted Ginn was a miserable failure last year, and Traquan Smith is in the third year of his deal in terms of what he got to do. And usually the third year, you have no excuses. You know enough of the playbook to be able to make an addition. So we should see a more enthused and more energetic Traquan Smith, along with whoever else they're going to bring in at the slot position and the complementary receiver position outside of him, and hopefully another tight end. Hopefully they sign C.J. Ham of the Vikings as well and bring him, because we really do need a good fullback that can help out catching and blocking as well. Not to mention the left guard position too, just on offense speaking.
Really, just all around, Q. I was just thinking, LSU went through that. They had Jerry Donato and they had Les Miles. Les Miles wouldn't develop a passing attack for nothing in the world. As long as we can run the ball, play defense, throw when we have to. Okay, they let that run for a little while. Won a national championship, okay. But after a while, Q, it got old, it got stale. They kept telling him, come on, coach, you need to change. No, I'm going to do it this way. And you see, he's not at LSU anymore. And Ed Ogeron got this. He like to throw down here. Hey, we got to get us some wide receiver. Look what he did. See, you got to change, man, because if you don't, people change, and you're going to be at the chain that's going to be going out the door.
True. You got to handle your business, man, bottom line. You got to make sure that we take care of business there. And I think eventually that's something that they do. Like I said in the previous show, I showed a list of draft prospects that the Saints were looking at during the combine. Mostly a lot of wide receivers, a lot of defensive backs, a lot of offensive linemen, and some defensive linemen on it, but a lot of wide receivers, which lets me know that they do recognize the wide receiver position as a severe position of weakness. And also looking at the defensive linemen, you need to have that pass rusher opposite of a Davenport and a Cam Jordan in that situational role. And, just addressing the holes of the offense, just recognizing that the only thing the Saints don't need is, we just need a wide receiver to compete. That's not necessarily the truth. We need a slot man. We need another fullback. We need a left guard. If you're not going to stick with Nick Eason, and I'm not completely comfortable with Nick Eason at the left guard position, we could use some help. We definitely can use another veteran cornerback, perhaps a high draft, a rookie cornerback. If the guy from Florida is nice, I like him. You need a little youth at the linebacker position, wouldn't hurt you, and maybe perhaps some veteran experience in the back end of the defense, like a DJ Swearinger or a veteran safety back there. If they don't go with Von Bell again, which they probably not, but it could be a number of things. This team could. You don't want that much turnover on a veteran team like the Saints, especially on the back end of the defense, unless you're going through some upgrades. Like if the situation help out, where the Grant Delpit falls to the Saints at that pick, you got to take that. And we get Delpit or Chason, any one of those dudes fall to you, both of those guys fulfill a need, because the truth be told, the Saints, back in the day, last year and the years prior, they could fool you with the draft picks in terms of who they talk to during the combine. But being that it has changed to a degree where they have cut down the amount of people you could talk to and the amount of time, every conversation you have with a prospect, it has to be meaningful. And they had a conversation with Grant Delpit. And that opened my eyes to say, wow, they talked to Grant Delpit. They must not be happy with somebody at safety. And the only person there is Marcus Williams, because Von Bell ain't there no more, and they really high on Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. So that is good as well. That's a slight little inkling into it as well. So it just all together. Like I said, this could be a different season for New Orleans. So I'm really happy that the free agency period kicks off in 4 days, the draft the following month, and everything is culminating. Hopefully, if everything didn't get shut down all the way because of what's going on in the country today. But as it stands, if everything keeps rolling and free agency starts in 4 days and stuff starts happening and what have you, then it feel good to get at least that portion of it going, and maybe we could see some of these contracts get reworked and see the outline of something set up where the Saints address the needs of the team overall.
That I agree with you, Q. You know what? Like I say, I don't know what the thinking is, but I'm kind of on your wavelength to a certain extent, Q, about this just being satisfied with winning in the season, win the division, and then get to the playoffs and just whatever, But Q, to me, if I was the head coach and in that front office, I would just draft and get free all the way around. Every position that we had a problem with the previous season, I'd try to sure up. And I would even get a veteran quarterback behind Brees to light a fire in his butt. I think he done got too complacent back there. What you think?
Wouldn't hurt to have for him to have a little competition. I think Teddy Bridgewater last year made him feel uncomfortable first time in a long time.
You could tell.
Right.
Like when
so
Teddy was in there, like Drew wasn't liking it. He was
not at all.
Mean mugging on the sideline.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, why Drew acting like this? He been the starter quarterback forever. He didn't do that with Chase Daniels was standing up there. You know what I mean?
Because he
that
felt
really
threatened.
Me some of his character cues. I didn't like it too much.
It was. We not all perfect, and he did show a little ugliness that I wasn't really happy about seeing him, because he could have been, more congratulatory toward the success as a team overall. But even though we know a lot of them have a little politician in them where they try or speak team principles, but deep down inside it's an individual sport, because individual statistics decide the rate of pay they're gonna get. So the contracts is built upon the individual accolades. So they hide the individual asset and speak merely about the team, which is a very smart political way of doing things. And Drew Brees, like I've spoken on about in prior podcasts about and broadcasts about his character as a person. Drew Brees is a guy that pays a strict attention to what he says, his image. He will not let you throw dirt on him. He's a very hardworking fella. He doesn't take anything that doesn't belong to him. Meaning, if he wants 25 to 30 million a year, he's earned it, and that's what he wants. But you could tell last year when they were playing against he was sitting in games where Teddy Bridgewater was commanding the team, and you heard the fans saying Teddy, Teddy, Teddy. It was games where Drew Brees it was nobody around him. You couldn't, he was chewing that gum fast. He was eating them sunflower seeds fast. But it just shows to his competitive nature to want it. But yes, I definitely think, and remember when he came back, he looked really good coming back off that injury. Because he knew Teddy Bridgewater 5-0 put a lot of pressure on him to keep the winning going. So I do feel like that competition wouldn't hurt him.
Oh, but you know what? I really miss him. I'd bring Phillip Rivers in there and sign him and see how you like it. See how you like it. Deja vu, baby. Full circle. Remember it?
Phillip Rivers gonna run them off again.
That's just like Montana D to Steve Young, man. That kept him motivated. I mean, they had a quarterback squabble there for a little while, but hey, it kept them, both of them hey, man, look, one of these days I'm going to be the quarterback of this team. I don't care what you do. And they made a competition. I got a book now talking about a friendly rivalry between them. That's the best relationship two quarterbacks ever had in the NFL. I really believe, Q, because they pushed each other to greatness. Yep. You ain't had that. Wherever he go, he the guy. Except when he, first got in San Diego, and they got Phillip Rivers because they saw, that they just lost hope in Drew. But Drew ought to be able to see that kind of stuff, man, and have a little more sympathy for his teammates. Like they do with Latavius Murray. Guess what, Q? Hey, next year they're gonna be trying to make Latavius take a cut, and if he don't, they're gonna want to bounce him. I think, like you said, you right in the rain with Taysom Hill. If he don't sign a 2, 3, 4 year deal, he gonna be gone after a year. So my thing is, like I said, if you don't want the guy on your team, don't draft him. Don't bring him in. Then you get him in, and then you just poo-poo on him. That don't make no sense to me, Q.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. As a player, you have a right to question your coaches. Coach, I don't like that play. I don't feel. Oh, just go out there and do it anyway. Then he go out there and mess up, and you sitting there mean mugging and tooting out them. You know what? Son gets up out there, he toot out them lips. You can tell what's up going. Like the worse it get, the more he toot them lips out. He need to quit doing that because he looks a mess. That's what the glasses on he didn't know. I said he like one of them old science teachers when I was in high school. Come on, class. Now we're going to do the proxy of the lift. I said, talk English to people, man. I'm like, boy, you go there and get a good nap. And that's what's happening to his offense, Q. He's putting people to sleep around the league. People tired of seeing that old mess, man. Do something different besides Taysom Hill.
Right.
So, Q, we gonna shut that down next year. We ha-ha, roo-roo, we're happy about this year. Watch how ineffective it's gonna be next year because defense is gonna be ready for it. Watch. What you think?
I mean, you make some great compelling points. I mean, that's some changes going to be made, and I think that Sean Payton will definitely end up making some of those changes, man. We got no choice. A lot of the stuff that we dealing with overall during the season, and during these last few playoff stints in which, I mean, to be honest with you, it's right, and the heat is getting on and on. Sean Payton dealing with these losses. It's 3 straight years of just terrible losses, and especially the last one out of all the terrible losses that we had to endure. The Minnesota Miracle, the debacle in the Dome. Then you dealing with the foolishness of the Minnesota game in the Superdome, in which the Saints should have actually won that game, but came out flat. You can't, I mean, it's funny.
You know why the Minnesota game hurts so bad? Because Minnesota, fans can remember the history of the Saints. Minnesota knocked the Saints out the first ever playoff berth they ever had. That's why they hurt.
42 to 10 or something. 42 to 10 or something like that. I remember that, and I was like,
Brees blew his knee out in the game. I knew it was it. I said they wouldn't run the ball that well anyway. But I said without Ruben, we ain't got a chance.
Saints jumped out early.
Came in and tried to, but Ruben tore that knee up, and he was never the same. But that's so bad.
That's why I was saying, it's one of them situations, man, where you just have to look at it and marvel at it a bit because, I think the way I look at it is they lost that game, like that 42 to 10 game. The first one, it was in the Dome. The fans was amped. They jumped out on the Minnesota Vikings, and then next thing you know, it was over with. The Vikings took off, and then it was a wrap. And they blew them out 42 to 10 in the Dome. And it's just one of them situations where you have to go back to that. And
that's true. But you know what Minnesota did that game? A lot of people don't remember. Jerry Burns did that switcheroo quarterback.
Yeah.
He started off with Tommy Kramer. Then he brought old Wade Wilson in there and lit New Orleans secondary up. They weren't expecting that. If you go back and watch that game, New Orleans was killing Tommy Kramer back there. But when Jerry Burns said, "Oh, we got to give that a quarterback. This ain't working," put Wade Wilson there, the Saints got lit up.
Yeah,
I never forget that.
Yeah, it was.
That still kind of hurt.
I know, and that's the ugly history that we share with the Vikings. The Vikings will be a team in which we dealt with a lot of that. So, at the end of the day, you got to beat the Vikings if you play them. And so far, he hadn't looked good in the playoffs against the Vikings, and that's something that Sean Payton and his thick ass glasses gonna have to get over with.
That's true.
You got them.
With the head Brett Favre, that was great.
You got them thick ass glasses and still can't see the truth.
That's why, in the last broadcast, that's why I said maybe Sean Payton need to go to the press box and just go up there and quit aggravating everybody on the sideline. And I'm with you, Q. Cut all that fake mid out and all that ping pong and Zelda and Pac-Man and all that old kind of mess. And play football, baby. All this party harder. You ain't won nothing to party harder. Go sit down with yourself and learn how to play football. Come on now.
Yeah, it's you're on with it, brother Paul. That's why I said that it take a little something, bro. It take a little something to make something, man. And you got to take it personal with the Minnesota Vikings coming to town. Especially if they're doing, you got to take it personal. With the history we dealing with the Minnesota Vikings, we got to take it personal, man. And doing what he did last year don't really help that case.
You really don't, Q. And I'm going to let you go. I know there's got some more Saints fans want to get in. But what's Sean Payton playoff record again, Q?
Let me pull it up right quick. I don't have that in front of me. Give me just a second. I'll pull up his playoff record.
2-4, 2-5. It ain't too hot. I know it's under 500.
Let me pull it up here. I might have it in front. Give me just a second here. Let's see here. All right, Coach Payton's postseason record, as it stands. Let's see, his career as a coach is 139-84. Regular season, he's 131-77. That's a 63% completion. I mean, a 63% winning percentage. Not bad in the regular season. He'll give you 13-3. Back-to-back regular seasons, but in the postseason, he's 8-7, which is 53%. So you got a 10% drop. He's 8-7 in postseason play. So he still has a winning record in playoffs, but it's the last couple of seasons of ending the playoffs. And of course, the Minnesota Miracle, where they were a divisional round game, they did beat the Eagles during the Rams debacle before they got to the Rams. They were able to beat the Eagles that year. I mean, not the Eagles, what was that they beat that? Yeah, the Eagles. They beat the Eagles that year, I think, to advance, and then they advanced against the Rams, and they're supposed to beat them. So he did have a win, but overall getting bounced in the playoffs, the totality over the last 3 years, anything short of a Super Bowl the way the team is constructed with Drew Brees and everybody else is, that's all that matters. 8-7 is his postseason record, though.
Almost barely breaking even, Q. If you really look at it, barely breaking even.
Yeah,
so
just barely making it.
It's imperative for them to do something next year, Q. Get bounced out the first round again. And like I said, if you talk this around here, with Sean Payton, I think they'd be having some very crucial conversations. You know? And that's too late. Gail Benson gonna get teed off with all this. Keep on messing up like this, cause the playoffs is where you really shine, Q. Everybody's watching. You know what I mean?
No, you're right. Absolutely right. And, it take a lot for Gail Benson to step in. She stepped in with the Pelicans when Anthony Davis walked out of the arena. She got mad and stepped in then.
Oh, yeah.
So but she's paying attention, though, and she don't like to see that level of dysfunction going on in a team that's supposed to be a championship team. So you got to either get it together or else. That's what it is.
And she a lady, Q. You know how the sisters is. They get frustrated. They start running. Like, come on now, I'm getting tired. Do it again. Do it again.
Yep.
But yes, Q, I'm going to let you go, but I appreciate you, man. And, man, let's say, Sean Payton got some crucial decisions to make, and he better make the right one if he wants to stay here long term.
That's right. That's right, Brother Paul. I mean, and I think that he going to get it together this year, no doubt about it. Thanks from the heat, from the family members. Thank you, brother.
You're going to have to. All right, now. Who that? That's Brother Paul, the historian, chiming in. Appreciate Brother Paul, the historian, and the Iceman chiming in for the live line. Remember, family, we still have some time left in the show. We have at least another 40 minutes of show left before we cut the live stream off. 504-475-4482. Feel free to call in. 504-475-4482. Big ups to Louis Lombard. What's going on, Louis? Who that to you? Says, what up, Big Q? Who that from Who That Nation, Cali chapter. There you're right. Yeah, you're right, Louis. Representing the Great Saints think tank way out in Cali in the building. Good to see you, Louis. Who that to you? Who that to you, Damone? Damone Harton in the building as well. Who that to you, Damone? See you, baby. Big ups to you, and who that to you as well. So like I said, family, as we chiming in, Iceman says, let me see what Iceman had a question there. He says, are we not signing Vine back? The smart money says no. Vine Bell, I don't think Vine coming back. I've said that. And I just don't think so. He does want to come back. But remember, that was said prior to him saying, toward the end of the season, he said that he wanted to come back. And a lot of people say they won't come back after the end of the season. But he has several reports where he said that he wants to come back to be a Saint. But remember, two very powerful things happened to Vine Bell and his family after making that statement. Number one was he had a family member. I think it was his brother. He lost his brother, his family member, in a auto wreck or something to that degree. He lost a family member. That was one. And then number two, he changed agents. And usually when you change agents, you're looking to get paid. And if that's the case, then I don't think the Saints would be a team that he would be looking to get that from. I don't think the Saints will open up the pocketbook for him. And besides, like I said, last year when they drafted Saquon Hampton and Chauncey Gardner-Johnson in the same draft, two safeties in the same draft, knowing that Vine's contract was coming due that same year, means that those guys were going to ultimately replace him. And Saquon Hampton has a very interesting. I mean, they like Saquon Hampton. He looked good in preseason and in the camps. And he got hurt, of course. But Chauncey Gardner-Johnson is the special player right there. He played nickel. He played safety. The guy's energetic. He's smooth. He had a few little flubs, like the missed tackle on Kittles that allowed him to get upfield. And he had another little play as well against the Falcons. But the upside on Chauncey Gardner-Johnson and his play potential is up through the roof. And I love to see what he do at that position. That's why I said I think that when they drafted those safeties, that was basically a tip of the hat to Vine Bell, letting them know that they were going to let him walk in free agency. And I still think that to be the case. I would be very surprised if Vine Bell did come back. Don't get me wrong. I would like to see Vine back. I just don't think it, with his replacements already in-house and the type of money he's going to be looking at. Like I said, he's got a new agent. That usually means that you're trying to get paid. So, and I don't think you're going to get paid from the Saints. So, that's a little bit of information right there on it as well. 504-475-4482, family. Live lines open. 504-475-4482. And just give me a second. I'm going to pull up some of the teams'
salary caps right now as it stands. Some of the money as it stands right now. Let me see here. I'm going to share my screen with your family. But that just goes to show you when we talk about money, what are we talking here? And I always like when I'm talking money, I always like to hit y'all with the numbers. If we're going to talk about free agency, how are you going to talk about free agency without talking about money? You know, that's the reality. How are we going to do that? We can't. So what I do is right now we got on screen, right, that's the NFL team salary cap tracker as it stands right now. As you can see, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the same Buccaneers is going after Tom Brady, have $84.8 million. This is according to Sportrack.com as currently stipulated. You can see some of the players is trending Tom Brady and what he's trying to do. Tampa Bay is really making a run at him. $84 million is what they have on their space, followed by the Miami Dolphins. Well, hold on here. Let me fix this right. Okay, the Dolphins are ahead of them, and they estimated at 94.9 for the Dolphins. The Colts have 86 mil, 84 for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And of course, you see the Bills, the Giants, the Cowboys are up there, top 6 there with the Browns. You got the Raiders, Las Vegas Raiders there. And of course, as you scroll all the way down, you look to the 30th team, that's the Saints, and they estimating them at 12 million there. 12 million, which is, they, according to Sportrack, has the Saints listed at 30 with just 12 million. Some people have it set at 9 million. So it's roughly an indication saying the Saints, I've seen some cap people put it at $5 or $6 million. So it's kind of further, but I get my information from Sportrack, a very reliable source, and they've never put out shabby information. They're not perfect, but you can see where it basically stands at $12 million. The Saints sit at 30th in the cap race. So all these other teams are sitting well over the Saints here. You're talking about, and if you go to the NFC South alone, you got Tampa Bay with 84 million. And then we shift down, we look for any NFC South opponents that we usually play. You look at Carolina. Carolina has 24 million here, 24.6. And then the other team would be, let's see, we already seen Tampa, we seen Carolina. And the Falcons is the other team. They actually worse than the Saints with 4 million. But they're going to release a few people. Marcus Trufant, there's stuff on him. We possibly hearing the releasing of Marcus Trufant and Freeman. That is rumored as well to free up some money as well. Freeman making $8 million a season. They're looking to get rid of him. Marcus Trufant's been performing there as well. So they're looking to shed contract of that. So that number could change a bit. And of course, the Saints haven't made any cost moves to adjust money wise. They haven't adjusted contracts of anybody yet. You know, so that's still up. You see teams making moves. We see teams like the Vikings. They did release Xavier Rhodes and Linval Joseph to free up cap money. The Saints have not done any of that. They have been relatively quiet. They haven't reworked any contracts. They haven't released anybody. They haven't done a damn thing. You know, they're still sitting on their ass right now. So we just have to wait and see how that plays out. But it'll be yet determined to see how fast it is. So just to give a quick synopsis so far of what we covered in the show, right now is the fact that we covered early the coronavirus information released by the New Orleans Saints organization. We read the report on that. Also behind that, we also went over the 24th unrestricted and restricted free agents that the Saints had. We even covered exclusive rights free agents as well. During that list breakdown, we also went over, I don't know how many free agents, 30 plus free agents on the open market, who's available coming into 4 days before free agency. Of course, you know, Thursday will be hopefully if everything stays on par, that we'll be able to see free agency take off on Thursday. And of course, that Wednesday will probably be, it will definitely be the middle of the week, or Wednesday or Thursday. I might shift it to Thursday depending on what free agency is looking like. It'll be perfect to do it then. But this is a preview show of free agency coming on for the Saints. We've talked about free agency, which we think the Saints could do a good job of going at. We've looked at the money as well, just to make sure the Great Saints think tank is working with all the relevant information as far as our free agents, of course, with the money. So we have a good education, a good understanding, understanding of everything that we need to have going into free agency. And as it stands right now, the Saints have not done anything similar to the Minnesota Vikings or some of these other teams that have made moves to either rework contracts or release guys in preparation of freeing up money for free agency. So we have yet to see that occur yet. And we'll see what's the holdup. What's going on in there. That should be the question is what's the holdup? Why y'all haven't reworked Janoris Jenkins' contract? Why haven't you not issued the contract or even talked to a few people? And even if they have, some of these reports will be leaked out to let you know, what's the dialogue there? It's not much dialogue going on in the building. And that's a shame, being that we're getting very close to free agency. We just have to maintain and watch as well. So to keep on going up and keep it moving, live lines over 504-475-4482. Feel free to chime in, family. Let me know how you guys feel about the topics that we've covered. Perhaps it's something that you want to get off your chest about the New Orleans Saints, or something that you might have seen sport-wise dealing with the Saints or the virus situation. Feel free to chime in. Who that to DLP 2600 is in the building. Says Q deals are being made as we speak, not officially, but agents are speaking to teams behind the scenes. I thank you for that information, DLP. And the Saints are definitely moving slow in the process, because this is something that, that should have been undertaken. I understand, when the free agency opened up, not opened up, but when the offseason ended and the new league changed, the year changed, the Saints don't have to wait to free agency up to the cusp of free agency to make trades or to rework contracts. You could have reworked contracts before all this happened. There've been teams doing this since the cusp. It just always seems that the Saints are kind of behind on the curve with that. And they might not feel, and I'm gonna tell you something, there's a lot, and this is not a season to be so inactive and slow moving and renegotiating contracts. What was the deal with not issuing out contracts to several of the players? You don't need to think about paying Demario Davis. You don't need to think about paying, Marshawn Lattimore. You don't need to think about paying Ryan Ramczyk. You don't need to think about playing none of those guys. They are young players that's producing like you intended them to be. Why aren't you not compensating these guys? Why are you not issuing out contracts? And you can't say they can't do it during the season. Of course they can do it during the season. They can do it anytime they want to. Truth be told, they could do it anytime they want to. It's just you don't have the luxury of playing it this slow and being this smooth. These 2 years are very pivotal years, and they need to operate under that mindset. DLP says teams can't say much publicly without Goodell coming down on teams. I get you on that. I get you that. Dealing with addressing free agents, not with your own team, and not with making and freeing up money with people on the books who you still that are obligated to you contractually speaking. You mean to tell me you can't cut money, or you can't take money and reduce Teron Armstead's contract and rework it where you knock off $5 to $8 million off his contract? You got to wait for Goodell on that. You know what I mean? Some of this stuff you could be utilizing and doing where they don't have to sit here and wait to the last minute. I understand what you're saying about the free agency. Hell, I agree with you on that. But in terms of players that's already under contract and reworking of contracts, come on. They should have been done that. The Janoris Jenkins thing, what's taking you so long on that? The Nick Eason thing, what's going on with that? So we'll see. DLP said, don't be surprised if a slew of deals will be coming in days. These deals don't happen in one day. Most players, no, they don't happen in one day. You agree. I agree with you. They don't happen in one day, but it shouldn't. But understand the point that I'm making is that a lot of this should have been done. You know what I'm saying? The Ramczyks, the Lattimores, the Demario Davis, all this stuff could have been done. Hell, even with the Taysom Hill thing, the Taysom Hill thing, all this could have been done already. We hear a slew of deals, and I get that because that happens sometimes. But most of this other stuff to players that's already under contract, for 1 year left on their deal, some of this could have been done right now. You see what I'm saying? Like some of those pivotal guys that they got 1 year left on their deals, don't play with them like that. Get them in here and get them out and get it done. We'll see how it plays, man. At the end of the day, we'll see how it go. 475-4482 is the live line. We got about another 10 or 11 minutes on the live stream, family, before we cut it off. 504-475-4482. 504-475-4482. Sorry, I'm cutting it short. I usually would extend out like an extra hour on a Saturday, but I'm cutting it short today because I'm doing a little cooking, man. The children wanted Jamaican curry chicken, so I'm making curry chicken. I always make curry. That's one of my favorite dishes, man. I love curry chicken. But I'm making the curry chicken tonight, and I got to finish up on that. I ain't go to Weedats today, man. I was making my curry chicken, but I'm gonna catch up with my boy Weedats until come next week. But big ups. Let's see. Let's keep it going in the chat. Big ups to the family members' job in the live stream now. And like I said, family, we'll see. We'll keep it. We'll see about everything pertaining to the Saints moving ahead, moving forward. But it'll be extra interesting to see some of these deals unravel. You know, like we talked about, like some of the deals we talked about earlier with some of our players. It'll be most interesting because I really want to see the Saints address some of those needs. I like to see them address the needs at the defensive end position in terms of the situational passer, some help in the secondary, maybe another veteran cornerback, perhaps definitely some safeties, maybe a veteran safety like a DJ Swearing. I would like to have him back there as well. Maybe a offensive lineman in the draft. How would the draft look? You know, offensive lineman perhaps in the draft. And of course, they had several mock drafts that came up about the Saints and what people saying the Saints will go after. I've seen everything from a guy saying that the Saints would take Jake from Georgia, and I hope not. But it's a number of things that a lot of people are calling for in terms of the Saints to go after. And I'm like, the truth be told is there are a lot of needs that the Saints could really use, to be honest with you. A lot of people, and you could be right in several different conversations dealing with the Saints. Offensive line help, quarterback help, wide receiver help. It's quite a few of positions that the Saints could be looking at. And you know, I'm gonna take a look at this was a mock draft that was done recently by CBS. I'm gonna share the screen with the family members. I'll share this one with you. Is that this was done by CBS and Brian Diardo, who shared this draft with him. The Saints 7-round mock draft 2020. New Orleans bulks up on the defense, give Drew Brees a pretty target. Let's take a look at it. Saints hoping to make most of their 5 draft picks. This is one that he did, the CBS reporter did. And as you can see, he have quite a few people that he took here on the draft here. So, but we're going to bounce and go to a phone number right quick. So just give us an opportunity to chime in there as well. All right, family. All right, fam, you're on with the... Okay, I just missed this call there. All right, family, whoever that was, call back, fam. Call back. I just missed your call. I hit the button and it clicked off. So call back again, family, and I'll get you in there. But just to go over with some of that mock draft that I was showing you, family, is that CBS reporter in day one had Kenneth Murray, who was the linebacker out of Oklahoma, going with the first-round draft pick, followed by Van Johnson. All right, fam. Thank you for calling the Sports Coma. Who I'm speaking with?
What's up, Q? GM Kev, man.
What up, GM Kev? How you feel, bro?
What's up, bro? I see you up in here. I forgot you was streaming tonight for a minute. I was like, oh, okay. Got Q on. All right. What we talking about up in here? I just came in.
Well, my brother, we covered earlier today. Appreciate you joining us tonight, by the way. We talked about today. We covered the Saints statement on the coronavirus. And also we made mention of the free agency list. We went over NFL.com list of free agents, actual free agents that the Saints went by position on them. We went over the 24 restricted, unrestricted and restricted Saints players on currently, and even some of the exclusive right people of who we think coming back or who's gone. We went over that today. And then, of course, we took calls in as well, my brother. But, right now I was looking at a report from CBS that was basically going over a 7 round mock draft. And hold on, I'm going to share that with the family members in just a second. Let me get that back on screen. And this reporter, his name from CBS, his name is Brian Diardo. He had a 7 round mock for the Saints. This is the first time I've seen somebody do a full Saints mock. That wasn't me Saint related people. And his pick was 24th overall, Kenneth Murray out of Oklahoma. He gave the Saints Murray out of Oklahoma. I'm not mad at that. The day 2 pick, his third round pick, was Van Jefferson, the wide receiver from Florida, which is a guy that many people mention. And then, of course, the fourth, fifth, and sixth round picks was Ben Brederson from Old Michigan State. He's an offensive lineman. An edge rusher named Kendall Coleman from Syracuse. And then, of course, the sixth round pick was a defensive lineman from Georgia named Tyler Clark. So his mentality was taking Kenneth Murray, he says, one of the top rated linebackers in the draft. Murray could help quarterbacks as the Saints defense finished in 2009 20th in NFL in pass defense as well as in red zone efficiency. During his finals 2 seasons at Oklahoma, Murray checked in at 6'2", 234, racked up 257 tackles, 8.5 sacks. He had 29.5 tackles for a loss. That's damn impressive. 6 pass defense, and in weeks leading up to the draft, Murray has been lauded for his speed, tackling ability, and overall versatility as a linebacker. So a guy that can stay on the field, that can cover from sideline to sideline, not mad at that pick. Day 2, third round pick says Van Jefferson. Now Jefferson, this is a guy that don't have many accolades, but he has been very productive at Florida. He's regarded as one of the top slots receivers in the draft, which is what we're looking for. He says son of former NFL receiver Sean Jefferson. You probably remember him from the Patriots. Caught 175 passes in 4 seasons with the Gators and he scored 16 touchdowns. He averaged over 12 yards per catch, and he could be a nice complement along Kamara and Thomas. And of course, the day 3 picks were Ben Brederson, which he says a 2009 second team All-American who racked up 46 starts at Michigan State, could help replace Pete if he departs the free agency, which he was. And of course, the 5th round pick was Kendall Coleman, edge rusher from Syracuse. He says Coleman and Clark could help bring in depth to the Saints defensive unit that allow 136 rushing yards and 10 of 18 third down efficiency during their wild card playoff loss to the Vikings. Says Coleman is a 4-year starter at Syracuse, racked up 14.5 sacks and 22.5 tackles for loss during the final 2 seasons. And Clark, who is the final pick, the 6th round pick, Tyler Clark from Georgia. He says Clark is a second-team All-SEC performer. Last season had at least 5 tackles in 5 different games in 2019, and that is his pick. Not a bad draft if you come to think about it. You get the wide receiver complement. You get a very impressive linebacker to pair next to Demario Davis. You get an offensive lineman and Brederson with the 4th pick that could be a possible replacement, a cheap replacement for a guy like Andrews Pete. And then you get the edge rusher that can come in and provide help with the pass rush, and then you get another defensive lineman there who can provide depth back there as well. So this guy is kind of filling in some of the needs. He kind of more of a defensive draft overall, probably anticipating the Saints addressing some other of their needs via free agency. I mean, but what you think about that, Kev?
I mean, we agree on the linebacker. I mean, if they go free agency or draft, that another linebacker spot is very critical there. You know, somebody who's athletic, fast, can hit, run, and cover.
Right.
I'm not really a fan of that draft overall because some way they need to get. I would think if they can get some way to get either that second pick back, that second round pick, or if they can get 2 picks in the first round. I think they need more there, you know. But my whole thing is, man, after how last season ended, the process in the off season of not, you know, getting some players under contract, the way that they're moving. I wasn't a fan of bringing Drew Brees back. So, because you put yourself in a position where this year it has to be a Super Bowl. That's the only medicine can cure this financial mess they got going on. They almost at the bottom of the league in cap. You know what I'm saying? So that tells you what, maybe 30 teams ahead of you that has more cap room to make moves. So that don't leave you with getting a lot of great players to add to make this whole 1-year Super Bowl run. You know? So I thought this was a great year to go to transition to get that young quarterback and, you know, and still add players around him and still be able to have a competing team after Drew leaves. Because if you don't make it this year, it's like you're gambling. You crap out. Next year looks bleak. And guess what? Drew going to probably take a hometown discount on that first year. That second year is probably going to balloon over $50 million. That's going to hurt you in the long run to make moves. After Drew is gone, you still going to be paying Drew. So that's when that kick in the can don't make sense if you don't win a Super Bowl. The only way you can absorb that is like, well, we got a Super Bowl out of it. Great, cool. If you don't, it's all a failure.
Mm-hmm. Make a lot
That's
of
a lot
points.
of pressure. That's a lot of pressure in 1 year. That's a lot of pressure. You know, you got to damn near play perfect damn near the whole season again. Get to the playoffs where you've had, look, the last 2 years you've been at home, you know, and you've lost. And the one win you had at home, when you went to the NFC Championship, Philadelphia should have honestly beat you. So you're looking at, like, in a 2-year span, you could have won no playoff games at home. This team is definitely going backwards. The regular season, I told you, it fooled us. You seen 13-3. You was like, oh, yeah. A lot of those games were like the Saints could have lost. They was on the winning side probably because they had a few more experienced players. Going into the next season, you cannot depend on that team you was beating to be just as bad the year going into next year. You can't expect that. You can't expect to be 13-3 or 14-2 next year. There's a lot of moving parts right now. The worst thing could happen if Brady goes to Tampa Bay. That's a big problem for me because in one of those games, I can't remember, Tampa was in the game. The quarterback was just blowing it. I'm thinking like, hey, I'm happy I'm a Saints fan because this quarterback is horrible for Tampa. You know what I'm saying? You get Tom Brady over there with a young defense, and, man, we got some issues over there for next year. And this is supposed to be the year that we went all in to make this Super Bowl run, not knowing what Joe Brady's going to pull off in Carolina. And you know Atlanta's going to be hungry to come back to, you know, from what they did last year. And they beat us 1 game last year, almost beat us 2 games last year. So I don't know, man. This is very, very tricky. And they're not being proactive. I'm not seeing people resign. I see one person that's interested in Jamie Collins. I haven't seen anything. I mean, I know it's still early, but they haven't made anything. They just waited to sign Drew Brees over a month. I'm on there.
Mm-hmm.
What is going on?
Yeah, I know. I was asking that question. I mean, if anything, you know, you have the ability to sign your own players. If anything, you know, there's no movement on it. You know, in some of it could be a haggling, but if it really was what Drew Brees was saying, that he really wants to be here, wouldn't it be a little bit smoother than what it actually is? You know, wouldn't it have been a lot smoother than that?
Think about this. How good would Jalen Hurts would have? Look how Jalen Hurts would have looked back in the backfield. You know, you'd have had a young player. You could get another young receiver. If you wanted to sign Kamara or not back, you still had Latavius Murray. You still could have added pieces on your defense with that extra money you didn't have to pay Drew and got some extra pieces on defense. Teddy Bridgewater showed you can still win without Drew. You ain't going to win. I mean, don't get me wrong. He's a Hall of Famer, so you don't have to win the games like Drew won them. But you can still win games. We'd already set ourselves up for at least 10 years to be competitive down the line instead of gamble on this 1 year. So, bro, we got to win this year. If we don't win this year, how is next year and the year after that looking? Because we're going to be in definitely cap hell.
Yeah, I mean, it falls back to, you know, it was in a similar situation last year, you know, and I reflect back the last several seasons, we've been basically in the same boat we are in this year. And it's the fact that the Saints ultimately what they end up doing is they will cycle back to the method that Mickey Loomis is very familiar with using, which he'll start reworking contracts to free up money. And Terron Armstead and guys like that will be on the docket to get reworked. And that's how he'll free up a lot of this money. But like DLP 2600 just says, don't be surprised if a flurry of moves occur over the next couple of days to be in line. And that would be just like what the Saints would be, similar to what I expect the Saints to be right now in terms of a person that's not prepared for an exam, that's cramming for an exam. You know the test's coming, but you ain't take enough time to study. So all of a sudden you're going to cram for the exam. You know, you see a team being proactive that's reworking deals, getting in position to make money free so you can do it. How you going to rework a deal with Drew Brees and the money ain't even there yet, according to the information we have? So, I mean, how are you doing? Of course, you have the period of time when you could do that. And then it's a period of time also when you have to make sure the money is there and it works. So it's a way that they can do it, before it becomes official, if you know what I mean. But
yeah, well, they can't make moves now because of the new proposed what's that? The players,
CBA.
well, it's the the CBA, so they can't. But I mean, even before that happened, we really didn't know what direction his team was going to go in, and then we was both saying, "Why are you waiting on Drew?" Yeah, we love Drew, but at the same time, do we still want to compete 10 years, 15 years down the road too? We just don't want to have Drew go out unless we win the Super Bowl. If we don't, and then it's mediocre for the next 20 years again, like I don't want that.
I don't think they'll be mediocre, Kev. I think they have more than enough talent to be able to adjust. I don't think we're that far off from getting back. It's a couple of positions that they can really address that can kind of keep them on par with their winning ways. The wide receiver position, the slot position, they'll free up enough money. I think they have more than enough draft picks. 5 draft picks is enough in terms of if they don't make any movement in the draft, dealing with a guy as smart as Jeff Ireland to be able to find competent talent at any one of those positions. This guy just has a gift for that. So, that is, and then of course the undrafted market is another great market where the Saints can find some talent. They've done it. They've backloaded this team with undrafted guys and college free agents for the last several seasons. So, I mean, they'll find the talent necessary to compete. As far as the quarterback is concerned, I would definitely go in the draft. I agree with you on that. I think the draft should be an issue where they'll be able to utilize the draft to find a future quarterback, because I don't think it's Taysom Hill. I think a lot of people starting to get behind that frame of thought. But, we'll just have to find out and see how it works in terms of that. But I can definitely see that Sean Payton or Mickey Loomis in particular will definitely shave money off of deals to open up to do some things. Because remember, the same thing happened last year. And then next thing you know, the Saints signed several free agents like Malcolm Brown. He was the first to sign. Then you had later on Nick Easton, later on Jared Cook. Then you had guys like Marcus Shrells, who signed a minimum deal to come in for like $1 million. He ultimately didn't make it. But you still had other key free agents that signed, like Latavius Murray, that signed for really, quality deals, not break the bank deals, but quality deals to come to New Orleans and play for the Saints. So there'll be a crop of free agents that the Saints will look in that'll help them, just like last year. So, I mean, I anticipate that same thing occurring this year as well. I don't think they'll change much on that, their principles on that.
And that's kind of crazy, because the least time that Murray did play, he rarely used him. So, yeah, he's not breaking the bank, but he's looking like he's very effective, but he's on the bench.
Yeah.
You got a guy at this size, and he's getting 3 to 4, 5 carries in 4 quarters. I'm just, like I said, I don't understand the logic. I think at some point, after you kick this can down the road so long, at some point the bill is due.
Right.
We at that point the bill is due. You can't keep kicking. Like, I don't care how you try to go and get these undrafted players or however you try to work this. A bill is due. It's coming up, man.
Right.
They got the receipt books in the financials. They're like, hey, we could do a few moves this year, but after this year, man, look, guys gonna want to get paid. You're gonna have multiple guys gonna want to get paid at the same time, and then what? You can't pay everybody.
No, you can't. That's true. You can't, and that's proof positive. What the line is, only those guys that can help him do what he wants to do. Now, Teddy Bridgewater was a guy I was advocating to stay, because I know Taysom Hill. If you're looking for a guy to lead your team for the next 3 or 4 years, there's no more qualified candidate you can find that works with the team, works with the scheme, work with everything. Then you will find Teddy Bridgewater. For whatever reason, Sean Payton doesn't see him there. For whatever reason, I don't know. But Taysom Hill is that guy, which I doubt that as well. So, I mean, but when you look at it, the only other quarterback that they scouted in the combine, now, of course, they were at the Senior Bowl in Mobile down there. Hell, they participated, I think, in the coach, when Peyton was over at the Senior Bowl down there coaching, wasn't he?
Well, I don't know if he was coaching, but I know he was out there a lot doing whatever he was doing.
He was participating with the coaches out there. Yeah. And he had opportunity to scout Jordan Love. He had an opportunity to see Jalen Hurts. I see a bunch of players, and the Saints do have a history of drafting guys that they've been very active and true, credit to them going out there to Mobile, Alabama, participating in the Senior Bowl, and they do draft guys that participate in the Senior Bowl that they've seen up close and personal. So seeing Jalen Hurts and seeing guys like that, I will hope that the Saints, because if you love Taysom Hill, what he can do and who he is as a quarterback, It just fits oddly by that. You look at, if you love Taysom Hill like he loved me, you love his measurables and there's all this kind of stuff. The Jalen Hurts mode. I mean, Jalen's always the fastest guy on the field throwing the ball. I mean, he looked absolutely great in the NFL Combine. I was going over, I watched him and they finally came out with a best of the NFL Combine. And they had Jalen Hurts highlights all together, him throwing the ball, running and moving around, jumping. And he was just fantastic. He had like his record. He won like 40 games in college or something like that. I forgot what it was. It was something crazy like that, like single digit losses. You know, all the accolades and championships. You know, the resume speaks for itself. So I would say, and you know, a lot of people see Jalen as a second or third round selection. I don't think he falls beyond the second round.
I don't think so.
But they need to focus on that, because the more I keep saying is Jordan Love is getting to the point where people are starting to move him past Herbert. So it's getting crazy like that. So you could very well see, they had a guy came out with a draft where he said 6 quarterbacks will go in the first 50 picks. So, you know, that a lot of that's going down, and the Saints have to be able to participate in that. You can't allow Lamar Jackson .2. I will call Jalen Hurts to go past you again. I mean, you had an opportunity to get Lamar Jackson last time, end up with Davenport. If I was running, I would have picked Lamar Jackson. We wouldn't be having this discussion right now about the future of the Saints and all that nonsense. But, I mean, at the end of the day, Jalen Hurts will be available, and the Saints, whether or not how they do it, do they get enough picks to get them? That's all be relative. I don't know. I don't know how that will play, because I think they'll go the veteran route.
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna get a quarterback in the first round. Not since Drew came back and they're giving them all that money, because you're gonna be paying for Drew even when he's gone. So I don't see him getting a quarterback this year. So I'm thinking to myself, like, man, Drew about to be 42 next year. Like, what are we doing here? Like, yeah, he's still one of the best of his craft, and yeah, he has some deficiencies on some throws now. He can't throw consistently, but I'm like, man, at some point you gotta let this guy go, man. And you know, like, I just don't get it. I am not very okay. The fan in me loves it. The other side of me is like, you know, this is not a good move. If you were thinking positive, like, you know, as a GM, you were thinking like, hey, you know, we love what you've done, but at some point we have to set up for the future. Right. And you know, this is your last year. You're not going to be here for the next 5 to 10, 15 years. And we still want to be able to compete. So we need to get a guy up in here that we feel comfortable about, that's going to be cheaper. Jalen Hurts would have been a first-round pick, and it could have been cheaper. You know, I don't know. This got to work. It got to work. If you don't win the Super Bowl this year, this is going to be the most disappointing in all those playoffs, because what you're going to do this year to get Drew the help, and for some ever reason they don't get there, it's going to be heartbreaking, bro. Oh, my God. So I hope they got this stuff worked out.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a year in which the Saints are anticipating that they're going to load Drew up. You know, they're going to give him the compliment wide receiver.
They can feel it.
This is going. They have already had the discussion with him about, listen, we need you to take this much this year so it'll free up this amount of money so we can get an impact player. That's several reports came out saying that they're going to give him, that he's going to agree to take the 25 again, but you better watch that second year. That's where you're going to see that pain in that second year.
25,
Yeah, because
see, that's when they pulling the curtain over you.
There
like,
you go.
He's taking 25 this year. What about that next year? They ain't showed you that yet. How
No.
much guaranteed
Right.
he signed the contract? Like,
I wouldn't be surprised again, but they say that guaranteed money last time he signed a $50 million 2-year contract with the Saints, the guaranteed money was $27 million. This time around, they take 25 again, despite the fact that he was still a Pro Bowl level. He's playing at that level, and numbers usually go up.
Yeah.
His estimated market value was 36.5, and he's taking 25, which is 11 million shy, 11.5, 11 and a half, basically shy of what he could make. Where is that extra money going to go? Because Drew Brees doesn't take cuts. So that money is going to be made up on that second year. But but most of the people ain't going to care about that right now, because they say, okay, well, you take 25 this year. They want an impact player. The impact player could be anywhere, could be in the draft, perhaps. Well, if you talk about money, it's definitely going to be a free agent. And maybe the impact player is a defensive lineman, a pass rusher. Maybe the defensive player is a wide receiver. I mean, maybe the impact player is an offensive lineman. It could be number of cornerback. Perhaps it could be something to that making. But we'll see in the end how it shapes up. But I'm thinking that they're definitely going to give him more offensive weapons coming into this year too. I would love to see him go after C.J. Ham. I would love to see him go after C.J. Ham. C.J. is restricted. He's a restricted free agent.
Okay, that guy. I'm thinking about the receiver from Oklahoma.
No, C.D. Lamb. C.D. Lamb. Okay. Yeah, C.J. What's his name? I got the man name already. C.J. Ham. Ham is a dude that he's the fullback for the Vikings. He's restricted.
Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah, and he needs you. That would be a very good pick for the Saints to go after. They like taking Minnesota guys anyway. They took Latavius Murray. They took Nick Eason. They love pulling Vikings guys away. You might as well go ahead and keep the pulling going. Go ahead and pull. Well, Zach Line was from Minnesota, by the way. So you pull Zach Line from there. Why not continue the streak going and go and pull C.J. Ham, another fullback from the Vikings down here? He would be really a great fit in the Saints offense, catching the ball out the backfield. He could turn into a short yardage running back if you need him to be.
They need that back,
that type of back helps that Saints team go a long way. So I love to see that happen. Yeah.
Well, like I said, man, it's some confusing times down there right now because I know they're under a lot of pressure. You know, it's not very seldom a team wins 3 division championships and never make a Super Bowl appearance, not even an appearance. It's like you dominated for the last 3 years. You haven't made an appearance, so that's very odd. At least one of those years you made an appearance, even if you didn't win it. So I can imagine how much pressure it is for them to have all this success in the regular season and Drew breaking all these records on ESPN and all this, and then you're getting bounced early. So that's what people have been talking about in the media. It's about the playoffs, woes, and it's like these big moments, like at the end of the game, I'm like, man, it just keeps happening over and over. So, I'm just like you, man, we'll wait and see how it goes, hopefully, the fan in me says, man, I hope this be the year. I think it's going to be the year. But then that other side comes out like, man, damn well right, this guy, 42 years old, when the playoffs come, he's going to be slow in the pocket. He done wore down. And, I don't want to believe it. I want to believe the fan side. You going to come back and shine, baby. But, man.
I'm on the fence. I agree with you in terms of that. But it's got to be a team effort. And I think overall the last 3 seasons of playoffs, games of play with the Saints, especially last year, they've made a lot. If you go back and watch those games, they made a lot of mistakes in these playoff games. I mean, the last playoff games, they didn't even show up. They didn't even show up for how bad is the thought process in a team that doesn't show up in a playoff game?
Man, the Superdome was just
it was electric.
Done.
Right.
Yeah, they were just because think about this. I watched the game, I rewatched the game, and man, if Taysom Hill didn't ball that game, man, the Saints was on the verge of getting blowed out of that, bro. That's how bad it was getting. Because they were just running the ball up there, eating clock up. I'm like, man, if he hadn't the ball, man, they probably won 26-10. So it would have blew us out, bro.
Yeah, it was really distasteful. It was to be honest, it was just totally distasteful to watch the game. They were lethargic. They had no energy, no life, no nothing. And the Minnesota Vikings took advantage of it. They came in and they whooped them. Sean Payton didn't help the situation by not operating in the spirit of taking advantage of their weaknesses. He was stubbornly trying to beat them in the way that he felt that he needed to beat them, and it benefited the Vikings for him to keep doing that. He didn't make any adjustments. He didn't wake. He didn't. I mean, it was pathetic. The way you lost that playoff game, it wasn't it was a hard fought game. Right. It wasn't like, what's going on here? Nothing was together. I said, that's when the message goes stale, because you got guys fighting. They ain't doing that all season long. And then you get into the playoff games and that happened. These guys weren't prepared. Because they weren't prepared, Kevin. They weren't prepared for that.
How can you not?
Because that's what I'm saying. Whatever Sean Payton's thought process rested at, he's the head of the team, which means it's his job to get his team prepared to play. He did not have his team prepared to play, and the energy of the team mimicked the energy of the coach. He was lethargic. He was lethargic and absolutely pathetic, and so was his team. They couldn't all. And then, truth be told, they stammered around, stumbled around, and actually still had an opportunity to win the game late in the fourth quarter, and couldn't even put the 2-minute drive together to even do that. So I mean, Drew Brees hikes the ball without checking to see if any of his people were set, which caused them 10 yards plus a 10-second runoff up the clock. They had to take a field goal. So I mean, it just, and then the other team. I mean, it was pathetic, man. It's what it was. And for a playoff game and the energy, and then what was even sadder was everything behind it. It was all together, all pathetic, all trash, all
the
garbage.
Interviews, the smiles, and the interviews after loss. You're like,
all that was sad.
We were talking about y'all going up to Green Bay and trying to get a win out, and we couldn't even get out. We couldn't even beat them in the Superdome.
Didn't do it.
It was just such a letdown, bro. So even going into the only thing gonna make this up, they come back and make a deep run in the playoffs. I don't care if you get 9-7 to get in, but you got to make a deep playoff run. Going 13-3 or even 14-2, man. Look, we used to win it like that now in the regular season.
Right.
We need that long playoff push, man. Everybody's watching now, and we have these games. And I'm gonna tell you, the last game, man, everybody was looking for me. I was hiding behind corners and walls. I wanted the National Guard to protect me because I was up there talking about, man, watch my Saints Sunday, man. Watch my Saints, man. Everybody was looking for me.
Yeah, that was a part of it. I got a lot of it too. A lot of the Tampa Bay people, Tennessee Titan people was trolling.
Man, they were looking.
Yeah, a lot of Atlanta Falcons that listened to the podcast, they was trolling. So I mean, I was upset because I had to take, because I was out here cheerleading for the Saints to take care of business, and Sean Payton let the entire fan base down with that play. Yeah. Then gets upset when guys ask him questions about his play calling. How dare you? How dare you? That's why I'm still upset. And those other guys, they don't have a platform to voice their opinions. You know what I'm saying? To talk back, and the media not listen to why the meat man. They're just gonna listen to Sean Payton. So at the end of the day, I mean, I have a platform where I can fire back at you. I mean, I have, there's, like I said, there's Saints players that listen to the show, the administrators in the building that listen, from Pelicans and the Saints that listen to the show. So I mean, the show has outreach, and and a lot of the people know that we talk that real here. And a lot of Saints fans know that the Sports Coma, you can count on Sports Coma for 100% real Saints talk is what it is. We're going to bring it to you. We're going to bring you the numbers. We're going to bring you the information. We're going to keep it real with you. That's all we do. That's all we do.
And so, they can't wait till that Sunday we lose, because the whole week we going through all the game plans, and we talking, and we hyping the team up, and then like soon as they lose, boy, I mean, they be coming everywhere. I told y'all to tighten up. See, you didn't tighten up. I'm like, oh,
you remember that, huh?
Here we go. Oh man, they just look for me. Oh man, they still looking for me. Yeah. So I'm still hiding.
But I mean, that's the thing that you gotta look at it though, Kev. I think, and I agree with you, man. It was hard to stomach a lot of that, man, because you didn't see your Saints laying down like that. The truth be told, you would not have seen, if you could have looked into the future. Only thing you seen was the Saints would take care of business against this team. Everything lined up for them to beat the Vikings. They had home field advantage, and the arena was electric, so you couldn't say that the crowd wasn't there. The crowd was cheering. Ready. They were there cheering the guts out. The team did not take advantage of the energy. They didn't plug in. They were lethargic. They looked just like the Atlanta game, like they wasn't there, and that was terrible to me.
It's like what you said a long time ago when they lost to the 49ers. You said it. The Saints have blown their chance now. People still like, nah, they're going to rebound. I was like, no. That was a critical game, and how you lost the game because of the coaching. It's going to come back and bite you. And what did that loss do? We didn't have a bye, so we didn't get a rest to prepare and have like extra stuff to put in. So you probably had some guys out there banged in injury, and it gave San Francisco the whole number one seed to be at home. So it totally flipped the landscape because of the coach. On 4th and 18, you're going for it on 4th and 18 with a fake punt. I'm like, what are you doing? Yep. So it came back to haunt you.
Yeah, and you're right. They flipped the field. Because the 49ers, it put the 49ers in the Super Bowl. The 49ers rolled that all the way into the Super Bowl.
You said it. You said that game going to come back. Y'all don't see it now. That game going to come back to play a big importance, and it did. Because they both was 13-3, wasn't it? I think they all were 13-3.
Right.
Yeah. But guess what? 49ers had the home field. So we had to play against a team the next week that we really wasn't – they ran heavy on us when we was injured. Like, we didn't – man, Davenport was gone. Rankins was gone. So – can you imagine if we had to go up to Green Bay? Man, that would have probably got ugly, bro. And because what's your boy name is? Cousins, he's garbage.
Yeah.
And we had to go against Aaron Brooks. Man, he probably put up 40 points on us, man.
Right.
I mean, my bad. Brooks.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, but that's true. I mean, you got to look at it too, fam. When all that happened, Kevin, we lost to the 49ers in that game. You lost to Green Bay too, because when you lost that game, you were leapfrogged by both of those teams, and and after that you could never gather. And the reason I was so upset about it because when you lost, you literally gave up your own destiny in the hands of other people, and that's something that you shouldn't be comfortable with. And the Saints played that game. They had an opportunity to take destiny in their hands. Had they have beaten the 49ers, they would have been the runner. They would have ran the NFC, and everything would have to come to New Orleans. But it just so happens that they wasn't ready. And that was a key when it came. You could beat all those other Midland teams with all of the mistakes and the bad play calling during the playoffs. During the regular season, you can beat them up 8 ways from Tuesday. But when it come down to playing contenders guys that's ready for it, you fall through the flow. And that goes to show you that, and like you said, a few of those games were lucky wins where teams missed field goals to allow the Saints to go head on, and they had critical. That's what bad teams do. In critical moments, they break down. The Saints have been losing in the playoffs in these critical games, and they're not making enough plays. But that's to their own fact. I don't remember. Well, in the recent years, the last 3 years, there has not been one Saint crisp performance in the playoffs. Coming in the playoffs, dominating in the playoffs. It's always mistake-free football, dumbass play calling, and then late heroics to try to win the game. That's what they're relying on. You cannot do that no more. You got to bring it. You got to bring it.
Yeah, we had said, but going to that game, don't touch the secondary. And what did they do? They put Marcus Williams and Von Bell, who had been out with leg injury.
3 games they all out, and they put them back in there.
Man, I said, this is not going. When I see him start, I said, it's not going to be good.
Nope.
It's not going to be good. And what happened? You got toasted out there.
You got toasted. Common sense. You ride the hot hand. It's the common thing. You ride the hot hand.
Yes, you do.
And you put 2 cold of the cucumber guys up in there, and then they got torched on the back end, giving up big plays in the stretch that ultimately cost them to lose the game. But we said that. You don't take these guys. If you want to play Von Bell and Marcus Williams in the game, play them as reserves and work them in slowly behind your starters. Slowly.
Yeah, a play here, a play there, but not start the whole game.
Not start the whole game,
It's hard to get your cardio and everything back up, man, when you've been out, and then, by them having leg injuries, they wasn't doing much running. They just resting, trying to get, getting all the rub downs and injections or whatever they had to do, but they wasn't running.
Right.
So it's like, why would you put these guys out there at full speed in the playoffs trying to run for 4 quarters? They was man, Von Bell was like puffing air out. He was tired, man. I was like,
but you the coach though. They the genius though. But that's the genius though.
Yeah, he'll tell you go ahead cook your food. You don't know nothing about football. You just
we're about cutting this freaking meat. It's he said friggin'. That's what he said. I remember saying we're about cutting. That's like old Peyton said. We're about cutting this friggin' meat. This friggin' meat.
Man, I'm so glad that guy said that, because he said what we was all thinking. Somebody had to come out and address him without all this fluffery from like the talk shows, man. Come out and ask real questions. Man, why did you go for 2 points in the first quarter right when he really needed? What were you thinking? And so that really got him high. Like, I'm the genius here. You don't ask me why I went for 2. Well, why? It wasn't necessary. Why?
It wasn't necessary. Right. I asked about 2, but I was asking about a lot more than that. I'm still asking them questions. And
like, why would you do that?
Hey, bro, I thought I had a chance. You're going to gamble like that in the playoff situation. It's just insane. But that's what I said. At the end of the day, the pressure of the fan base, you and all the Great Saints think tank members and family members, that's the thing, man. The pressure is on this team. And this is, of course, Drew Brees' final year. So the Sean Payton's going to do everything. Him and Mickey Mouse Loomis going to do everything they can to put this team together for a Super Bowl run. This is in the mindset of the team is Super Bowl or bust, no doubt about it. Now, and of course, they're going to make the draft and draft pieces to help in the duration, hopefully. But the thing is, they have to understand this as well, is that you're going to have to literally, you're going to have to put pieces of, slot man, wide receiver, fullback, left guard. You're going to need another pass rusher, maybe 2. If you can get one, if you can get another one, linebacker help there, cornerback, especially in the back end of the defense. But my thing is, they'll focus so much on the back end of the defense. Need to focus on the defensive line, man. If you're going to spend impact money, if you want to spend, like they said, an impact player to go along with Drew, please make it be a defensive member on the line that can get to the quarterback. Because that pass rush was non-existent, when the playoffs come in. You're going to need that in the playoffs. Plus, you need that
Sure,
depth behind a Davenport if he gets hurt,
Bro,
when he gets hurt.
You had Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins, that's the only meaningful win he's had in his whole career.
And whole career.
Like, his whole career. How do you let this guy come in your house and look like a young Joe Montana?
Man, it's amazing, man.
Oh man,
it was just all the wrong stuff. Yeah, it was all the wrong way to play. No pressure. The Saints were melancholy, lethargic, uninterested. But the thing is, with that crushing loss, it pissed off the true fan base. It also made the team understand that you have a propensity and now a recent history of losing games in the playoffs and the loop to win. Right. Now, because prior to last year, they were still hanging on the fact that the league cheated them. Or the league cheated us. That's why we didn't win. That appeased the fan base because they played to that, as opposed to going and look at the real football and see the Saints squander several opportunities in the Rams game to come away with it, including a pivotal drop touchdown pass by a certain tight end, dude, I care not to talk about. But
that guy, he had it right in his hands. I'm like, Jesus Christ.
So how now my thing is, what are you talking about? We got right, but they rolled that because that took the pressure off of Sean Payton. This time around, you don't have that. This was outright, straight up trash game that showed that the Saints, with all the Super Bowls talk, fell woefully short in the playoffs in their own building to a team that they themselves were better than. But you had a coach who wasn't there, who comes out with lackadaisical excuses about what happened, doesn't take clear responsibility. But then the plan is, let's do it one more time. Let's get Drew to come back one more year. We'll give him all the weapons and see what's happening. The thing is, they could have went deep into the playoffs last year. They could have even gotten to the Super Bowl last year if they had carried the running game. Don't stop force feeding these guys. Stop force feeding Mike Thomas. There's pure gluttony that's going on in the Saints offensive room. And it's unbalanced football, and it causes problems with other players. You force feeding Mike Thomas. You force feeding Elvin Kamara when you don't have to. You have depth behind these guys. You got to know how to make sure everybody eats. And when you have a force feeding offense like that, it creates all type of problems with people in that locker room. You create superstar mentality, superstar mindsets, and that shouldn't how it should be. That sees the coach, then players start seeing the coach as a favoritist, that he has favorite players, and then all that shit start coming down. Then you cannot allow that to creep in the locker room. I'm talking psychological, from a psychology standpoint, because the reality is, if you play out there busting his ass running and toting weights and doing everything like another player, but he ain't getting the ball thrown his way, that breeds a content there. And I keep telling you, it's one thing for you to be outperformed by Mike Thomas. It's another thing to be outperformed by a third string tight end with no wide receiver skill, no wide receiver. What's the word I'm searching for? Experience. Besides last year,
experience,
right? Yeah. So you're losing reps to a third string quarterback with very little wide receiver experience. You know what that does, and that's what I'm saying. As a coach, even though you want him to spark your offense, gimmick plays are one thing, but you can no longer say, like I keep saying, this is not gimmick no more. This is a mainstay in the offense the way he's using this man, which is not supposed to be. You're not supposed to utilize him like this. And he's saying, well, Q, if you got a weapon like Taysom, you mean to tell me you're not supposed to use it? That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, if you have an issue with the athleticism, the toughness of your wide receivers outside of Mike Thomas, you should be in free agency. You should be looking around to find guys that's physical and athletic and who can run and can catch just like this guy. That's what you need to be doing. And you stockpile a goddamn room with them. And the Saints have that ability to do it. They have not been doing it. They've been half-assed with the wide receivers. They got a bunch of possession wide receivers that they don't want these guys to actually get on the field, or the Jordan Humphrey. They had the Krishan Hogan guy. They just drug him off the street and put him on top of these other wide receivers who was there already. And I was like, what the hell sense that make? Well, this guy must be pretty good. What? Guess what? He didn't do a damn thing. So, I mean, it's just absolutely stupid. It's insane, and it's back ass for you to have that type of mentality. You got to go out there and find the talent and make it happen, just like we do with the undrafted guys on the defense.
Well, Q, did you see what I seen in that game? that Minnesota game, the last game they played in the playoffs, Sean Payton lost that team. If you look closely, like the interaction, like you say, he was melancholy, and the fighting and the lack of communication, you could see that at that point he had lost that team. Something was brewing, and I don't know what that is. Maybe it'll come out, maybe it won't, but something got triggered because it was, like you said, they were so flat, and the lack of communication. And Drew Brees never make mistakes like that on a 2-minute drill, and he's making mistakes. He's thinking, like, what is going on? He lost the team, and it could be like what you said, people seeing favoritism. And, Mike Thomas' hand is messed up. Why is Traquan Smith not involved in a lot of play routes or open stuff? I mean, he just force-fed him. And guess what? Xavier McDaniels is a good enough corner for most of the time that can hang with Mike Thomas on some intermediate routes, not long routes, but he could play pretty decent for a stretch. So that's why I was like confused, like, why is these other guys not getting a chance? So people are like, okay, so you don't want to play me? I ain't getting a chance? You gonna keep on? Okay, well, cool. I'm gonna run my route half speed. I was seeing that, like, dudes that run their route, that ain't even looking for the ball, just jogging. I'm like, damn, something had happened in here. So I don't know.
Well, we just got some news. We just got some news,
sorry,
Kevin. Breaking some news right quick. I got a report that came in just now. Says, well, actually, it's been out for what? About 3 hours now. Saying Sean Payton expects league year to be pushed back. Changes made to NFL draft due to the virus. So we might be dealing with a draft. And I spoke about that today. I kind of figured that might be a situation in which you might see it drafting, it falling back. So I'm gonna see if I play a little bit here from Sean Payton. This is all the audio here from what he thinks about what's going on. Let's hear what he has to say about it.
It's affected the sports world big time with all of the seasons being underway. I got to ask you, for the NFL season, what has the recent developments with the pandemic, how has it affected it, and do you expect it to affect the draft?
Yeah, I think most immediately the start of our league year, which is due to be this Wednesday, I think, free agency begins. That's going to be, I think, pushed back because there's a lot that goes into that. There's a lot of visits players take. The next item would be the draft. I don't know if that's going to change date-wise. Certainly the format's going to change relative to what they're used to. And like everyone else around the country, not only that, around the world, we're all making the necessary changes and really prioritizing what's most important.
Which would be everyone's health.
Health and well-being, yeah. I think the thing that's lost in it all is, for us that are maybe younger, it's one thing, and we could become obviously infected and carriers, but the way you must feel if you're an older person, that's something that you would never want. Neither of my parents are alive, but to have that fear of being in that age group that's affected the most, I think is certainly frightening.
Well, the big thing about sports is it gives us a reprieve from the day-to-day that can be pretty heavy, and so that's what we're lucky enough to have still here in horse racing. Right. It's wonderful to see you. Enjoy your day, and good luck.
I appreciate you guys having me on. Thank you.
That's Sean Payton in the interview right there, breaking it down. Family just heard it there. And just to recap that, Sean Payton expects league year to be pushed back, changes made to the NFL draft due to the coronavirus. And, of course, that was something that was delivered on TVG today. And, of course, release day says most immediately the start of our league year, which is due to be this Wednesday, free agency begins. That's going to be, I think, pushed back. And that's quote, end quote, by Sean Payton. And, of course, we knew April's draft is the 23rd through the 25th. We know that free agency kicks off on March the 18th. So we'll have to maintain it. But a lot of people believe that it will definitely be affected by the virus, like so many other things that have been going on with so many other sports. So there's several. That's not really, to be honest with you, we kind of expected that when I started the show. I kind of thought in my mind that it would be an idea that it would be pushed back due to the fact that there's so much uncertainty centered around the coronavirus. So that's a little information there, Kev.
Well, so that means the draft is not going to happen as well, I guess, because, May, June?
Undetermined, bro. It's hard to say. I know the NBA was saying that it wanted to bring back possibly the season and kind of extend it into the summer, have a shortened regular season, and then just shorten out the rest
How
of
they
the.
gonna do that?
I mean, they'll just extend it into summertime. That's all they'll do. They'll just extend extra months into the. And, it just kind of extend it out, like cut off a portion of the end of the regular season and then, or just automatically begin the playoffs, based upon standings or wherever the records is at.
Then I don't agree with that because the Pelicans still got a good chance they can get in.
I know. But see, that's the thing, either you pick up the season, in its entirety after the fact, after everything is cleared to go, or you adjust the number of games at a certain point, which a lot of people are going to be like, that's two proposals that are proposing like just
That's
immediately.
suck.
Well, I mean, that's the type of thing. Another proposal was even worse to that, automatically crowning the champion.
What's that?
Just crown.
No,
yes,
that's blasphemy.
That was another. They have several scenarios that they're mulling over as it speaks, dealing with it. But they have, believe it or not, their clauses. These people are very prepared. And they have doomsday clauses in their agreements that stipulate, if something were to occur, something like war, which can up stopping sporting events and stuff like that would occur. They have that mentioned in that like a doomsday clause of how they would conduct their business. So they got a war chest built up to deal with all that, man. So they have a 100-year plan to keep their league going. It's a survival plan. It's almost like COG, continuation of government if something were to occur. Like if there was a mass devastation situation where something happened to the majority of the people, there's a program which will continue the government while the disaster is going on. And most of the politicians will run underground anyway. If there was something bad going on, they will hide underground and keep the medicine to the. I mean, I ain't gonna go into it, but you look it up for yourself,
secret
man.
Bunkers,
all that, man.
Yeah, I know about that.
Right, all big. They got that.
You're right about that.
Mm-hmm. They'll continue it.
But you know what?
All that. Go ahead, Cal.
It's so crazy. I know the Chicago Bulls owner came out and said, "Hey, if y'all propose a bill that whenever this gets cleared up, that we jump right into the." The NBA playoffs, whoever 1 through 8, that's who get in there. They don't agree because even though the Chicago Bulls are not going to the playoffs, you still got 20 games left, and they're like fifth in in selling merchandise and making money. He's like, hey, man, we losing millions and millions of dollars not playing those 20-some games. I know we're not going to playoffs, but we losing money. So there's been some owners that came out that even if their team is not competing for the playoffs, they still want them games because that's money.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't see the NBA saying, yeah, we're just going to go ahead and cut y'all out. They will have to have a season with the same numbers as it is, extend it out, and then you have those teams at that 9th and 10th spot still trying to vie to get in the playoffs. Anything could happen. So you don't want to just automatically shut the door on them because, look, the Pelicans do, to me, they need a head coach. Zion, them, man, they starting to get in the groove, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't want to cut them guys off and not at least getting a chance to get up in there, bro. You know what I'm saying? That'd be wrong, man.
Yeah, and that's like I said, there's several proposals. Of course, it's where they pick up where they left off at once they determine the extent of where it is. They just move it further into summer. It's just what it is. It just be more of an eventful summer, and of course they would have to adjust the season at a certain point next year, or take games off the upcoming season to adjust for the current season, or however it will play. Maybe get rid of the preseason games, perhaps, and just something like that. They'll have to make an adjustment. You just can't run them. You got to allow them to rest and whatnot. But yeah, but that's the unprecedented times that we're dealing with. When we're expecting, sporting events, everything, NASCAR, golf,
all of that.
The rest of football.
The Olympics was this year too, wasn't? When the Olympics this year?
I think so.
Yeah,
so you got all that shutting down. That's all. The March Madness tournament shut down. There's a proposal saying that they were trying to play them without the games, without the fans in there, but that has changed. So everybody's following pretty much the same template, which is they're shutting down until whatever the coronavirus subsides, it goes away, or they find a handle on it. So man, that's just what it is. I mean,
I was so happy this morning because I woke up and I seen the game was on. I mean, it was a NCAA game on
for 2015.
Yeah, I was like, man, so the coronavirus stuff. Oh wait, yes. And I looked up at the side of the TV, like in the corner, 2015. Man.
I know.
I was happy for about a split second, bro. I was so happy, like, yeah, they playing. But I was thinking to myself, so if the Big Ten playing, are they going to get some, like, a lot of heat? Because I know the SEC and all the other conferences had canceled. So why did the Big Ten go through? I'm like, okay, I don't care. I just want to watch basketball. And it's like 2015 rewind. I'm like, man, y'all fooled me, bro. I was so geeked out, happy, bro. Like, So yeah, I feel you, bro.
Yeah, it's like I said, we're dealing with some stuff right now, man, and it's impacting how people going to work, and it's impacting the trade, the international trade, and a lot of stuff, man. So it's whatever this is, man. This has never been done before, and man, just like the Saints information, we're gonna have to stay up on it, man. But we're gonna have to. It's just losing everything like this. But like they said, the overall underlying things that people remain safe, and I can get behind that.
Yeah, bro, I'm with you too. But I know you got to go cook, bro. So it's been good talking to you. And man, we do it again. You know how we do.
That's right. Appreciate it. GM Kev on the mic. Appreciate you, family.
Bro. Holler at y'all later, man. Peace out.
Peace out. Who that? That's Kev. GM Kev on the mic. Kev always call in, give great commentary as well. Great thought process as well. And before I get on up out of there, I'm going to get the family members, go over a few more comments that I missed there before while I was running my mouth. Who that to P. Felton Saints? I see you, P. Felton. He said, I know our draft picks are thin, but I truly hope we hit on players don't get drafted like we have lately. Thank you, P. Felton. Who that to your family? Thank you for joining the live stream. DLP says, this draft will be as important as free agency. They need to get few more picks somehow. He says that the Michigan guy is offensive, is not linebacker. DLP says Murray from Oklahoma is supposed to be a top 15 pick. He says, Q, let's face it, P-Rob isn't coming back at his current pay. No way. I agree with you on that, fam. No way he should come back at that pay. No, you know what I'm saying? Need to get rid of his ass ASAP. He also says, no problem. Okay, I see you just talking. He said, DLP says Q, Hurts had really good pro day as well. He says, Saints, number one, I don't know him. Remember, Saints still get a player like Marcus Mariota. He's 26, young, come in and work behind Drew. That is, I've heard several reports dealing with, and opinions as well about Marcus Mariota. And, I mean, he has a lot of potential. And like, he's tall. He's accurate. The issue is with him, confidence and injuries have stalled Marcus Mariota's career, but he can come here and actually find himself if that's the case. And like I said, the Saints might not take a quarterback in the draft. I would love to see him get a Jalen Hurts, to be honest with you. If he loved Taysom Hill's potential so much, that he'll love Jalen Hurts. So hopefully he's seen him in the Senior Bowl. He was down there. He's seen him in reality, seen him play, in the Senior Bowl. Hopefully he would take a chance on him. That's what I'm saying. You see the goddamn man running around field, making plays, commanding the huddle. And if you love Taysom so goddamn much, Jalen Hurts does everything Taysom Hill does. Plus he is like an accomplished passer. The guy is a winner. Come on. We'll see. But people say he has some injury issues. So does Taysom. So I mean, it's a crapshoot as far as that's concerned. But I just think the kid's a winner. He fits the culture of what we're trying to create down here, hopefully. Let's keep it going as well. Let's see. DLP says, I remember Peyton talking highly of him when he came out in 14. Loomis would be a fool not to reach out to his agent and pitch him. Bridgewater came. It was success. He needs this. Says it would be a good thing for us if we get our young guys, still not in his prime yet, pairing him with offensive-minded coach. Great team. It changes players' careers. Thank you for that, DLP. Dominic says, I turned off my phone for 5 days. Dada says, plus Peyton kind of veteran, and Marcus is that he's kind of like a project like Teddy was, just need another shot, a little more coaching up. I think Marcus Mariota, I used to watch him play at Oregon, and truth be told, his first year or two with Tennessee wasn't all that bad. I think, remember, he had a great amount of turnover there. Every year, I think the first 4 years, he had a different offensive coordinator. What kind of stability could he possibly You know, it's like the Andrews Pete of quarterbacks. I mean, you keep changing for the man. You know, you got to keep constantly relearning systems. So that'll throw anybody back. But if you had the opportunity to stand behind a stable offensive line that'll protect the quarterback and have weapons to throw to, he might turn into something. So this could be interesting. And I don't think he'll cost a lot of money either, fam. So we'll see how it goes. But I've seen a lot of articles pinning him to the Saints. So I guess it could be that kind of matchup if they don't take a quarterback in the draft. Data says, okay, DLP says force and feed Kamara was every damn game. I know, and you shouldn't have done that. You should let everybody eat. Revolt says bull riding still going on. Nobody won't watch that. But they'll be forced to be the heaviest, be the most watched program on television right now. Kevin McKnight, who that to you, Kevin? Good to see you, fam. Paul said the Saints trade Kamara, they can get a lot of picks. At least 2 or 3 picks. Marcus Barrett can get it together. Hope he don't be like Blake Bortles. I don't think so. I think he's a lot better than Blake Bortles. He has more of a sample size of what he can do. I think it was the inconsistency, the injuries, and ultimately his confidence. You know, if you can give him, and that usually is a strong indication that you can have a change of environment that actually helps all of that. So, you know, that's something to take a hold to. But I'd like to thank all the beautiful Black and Gold family members for joining me on today's Sports Coma. 3 hours and 40 minutes of excellent show, sponsored by the Sports Coma and the Great Saints Think Tank. I thank all you lovely and beautiful people for joining us today on the show. And it's been awesome, man, talking about the Saints. And, you know, and it just feels good to be able to talk about the show and to break up content, family, and just not worry so much about the coronavirus. We know it's out there. We know what's going on. But, man, you know, just be able to talk about something but this virus every day. You know, it's really something when they shut down all your stuff. And then it's all this stuff about Kamara and all this kind of stuff. Who that to your trail hatch? I mean, not Kamara, about the coronavirus. Who that to your trail hatch? It says trade Kamara. Yeah, and yeah, trade AK, meaning that if the Saints and him can't work out a deal, that's why he got his new agent for. They won't work out a deal. And there could be a possible holdout for more money in the contract coming into the season. So if you can't work out a contract and you have absolutely no intention of paying him the kind of money that he feels that he needs, the only thing you can do is arrange a trade and move him for picks right now. You know, that's just what it is. If you're not going to pay him, you might as well trade him. And Carolina, truth be told, Carolina is also contemplating whether or not to pay Christian McCaffrey, who wants $15 million a year. So there's trade rumors around Christian McCaffrey. It's just, if you're a back that's demanding double digits like that, Christian McCaffrey is definitely a guy that should get paid that kind of money because of what he does. His attitude. Kamara is going to feel whatever he feels. So if that's the case, and you talking about double digit money, $10+ million a year for Elvin Kamara, you know, if you're not going to pay him, keep it real. Look, we're not going to pay you that. Only thing we're willing to give you is most money we're willing to give you is $8, maybe $9 million. You know, if you don't want that, then, you know, whatever else. Now I'm looking at $12 million. Oh, well, guess what? We just going to have to trade you. And that's what it is, man. So, I mean, that's what it comes down to, and that's the reality at the end of the day. But I'd like to thank all the beautiful Black and Gold family members for chiming in today on the Sports Coma. And, you know, as usual, I like to promote the family to go to our Pro Shop, the PRO Media Network Pro Shop, and check out and do a little shopping there. Remember, at the Pro Shop, we have over 30 different designs available at the Pro Shop. Everything, I mean, anything from coffee mugs to tea, sweaters, everything that you possibly imagine. So if you enjoy the content and you enjoy the show, the link is in the description section below. The link is in the chat below to go to the Pro Shop and do a little shopping there to help out the platform. Remember, all proceeds go to the platform to empower it so we can keep coming with great content. And during this time, man, when they're shutting down sporting events, platforms like these go a long way in kind of keeping our minds off of this stuff. You know what I'm saying? Even though we know it's down, we recognize it and we're being observant of it. But there's always something else to pay attention to. And hopefully during this duration, we could provide that for you. Also on screen, the PRO Media Network audio streams are available at Spreaker.com. That's SPREAKER.com. /the sports coma, /the sports coma, Spreaker.com/the sports coma. You can go down and listen to all the backlog content from the sports coma, the Pelican post game report, our Pelican show, Ring Kings Boxing World, Tough Tiger Talk, the LSU show as well. All are available on the PRO Media Network on our audio stream, Spreaker.com/the sports coma. Also, to let the family members know that there'll be a new show coming up soon called On Cue with Big Q, which will be a show where we discuss all of the latest news on sports and entertainment. And that show will be available. It won't be on YouTube. It'll only be available through Patreon and our Spreaker audio streams. So, I mean, just to let the family members know that's coming soon. That'll be next month when we air On Cue with Big Q, just to let the family members know and to get some information, let you know that that's coming. Also, to become a patron of the show, which is basically, if you love the show and you love what the show is about and it's entertaining you, it's enlightening you and bringing you joy and entertainment. And I'm really happy that you are here to, to be able to be in front of you. You can step up your familyhood to another level, like so many other great people did. And by donating $1 or $5 a month or $10 or $20 a month or whatever's in your heart to do, you can help empower the platform to keep doing these great shows and keep doing things. And like I said, the people are always there and they're showing love. Donovan and all these other great, fantastic people, Crafts, all of them always showing fantastic love. And the only thing I could do is continue to turn it up. So another way of me turning it up is add more Sports Coma content, add more other content out there. And also, like I said, the On Cue with Big Q show is another way of giving much love to our Patreon family members, our Patreon champion members, and our Spreaker family members by introducing a show that's On Cue with Big Q that only will be available on those platforms. So if you're interested in becoming a patron of the show, merely go to patreon.com. That's patreon.com/the PRO Media Network for more information. Go to patreon.com/the PRO Media Network, type it in, or go to the description section. That link should be there as well. So I'd like to thank all the beautiful Black and Gold family members, man, for chiming today on the live stream. Thank you, family. I appreciate it. As always, it's always been fun to do what we do here for another hour, talking that great Saints content toward the back end of the show. Just a quick synopsis to the people out there who missed some of the early portions. So, of course, when the show goes final, you can watch it again. But we covered the coronavirus story statement from the Saints earlier. The second thing we covered was the 24-odd free agents and unrestricted and restricted free agents and exclusive right players on the Saints roster. We went over a story covering that. And of course, the third thing that we covered was over 30 different free agents that'll be available in whenever free agency starts. We covered that as well on the show. And then the fourth thing was, of course, the story dealing with the Saints, Sean Payton saying that the season could be pushed back. And of course, the fifth thing was we took calls. Big ups to our caller, Ice Man. Good to hear from you again, family. The historian Paul called in, and GM Kev in the building as well. So I appreciate all our callers for chiming in as well. And like I said, man, I thank all of y'all, man, for all the beautiful things that y'all do every day on the show. Every day for the views and the love and the commenting. And trust me, family, I'm going to be continuing to comment. And I want y'all to know that there will be no stoppage of shows. I will continue to be there in front of the family and talking to the family members, entertaining the family members. And we'll have some Q&A shows coming up real soon. We talk about most stuff. And don't worry, like I said, family, while a lot of people turning it down, your boy going to be turning it up because your support is forcing me to turn it up and do it big for the family members, and I won't let you down. Trail says, what other days you be on, Q, brother? Usually we be on Sunday. Today, Saturdays, I usually day, and the other live show will be Wednesdays or middle week show. So we do 2 shows a week. We do the Saturday show and then the middle of the week show as well. So just be looking out for that and various other videos that we put in. Just hit that notification bell and check out that stuff as well. So like I said, I'd like to give a big shout out to all the family members out there. I want y'all guys to be safe, stay prayed up, And remember, this is a time when we need to get our health together. We need to drink more water. We need to take supplements that improve our immune system, in particular our respiratory system. Another thing to do is walk a little bit more. Put the chips down. This is the time when we get healthy, because sickness cannot live in a healthy body. Sickness cannot live in a healthy body. Sickness cannot live in a healthy body. So this is the time where we have to turn it up in terms of our health and get more healthy. Drink more water, eat a little bit better, eat some more greens, get you a supplement, a real good supplement. Go to the herbal store and buy a health supplement that can help improve your immune system, and then do some research on it for your children as well, moving ahead, So this is the time we're dealing with. But remember, be cautious, be prayed up, stay prayed up, meditate, pray, and just live your lives, man, live your best life. That's my advice to you. Live your best life. Before I go, I'd like to give a special shout out to all the family members. Derek Lockett, big ups to my dog, Derek. Who that to you? Crass, thank you for your donation. Donovan, appreciate you too, family. Thank you. True Louisiana, JT, Gundam 13. Let's see who else we got. My dog Dada. Happy birthday once again to you, Dada. Happy who that birthday to Dada. Kenny Sutton, who that to you as well. Lance Kelly, Dominic Evans, Joey and Isabella, big ups to you as well. Elite Goods, good to see you as well, family. Who else we got here? Dr. Key, thank you, Dr. Key, for joining us today. Appreciate you chiming in here. DJ, big ups to DJ as well. Who that to you as well? JT, Dallas Allen, Elite Goods, I mentioned you. 985J, good to see you in there as well, fam. Till, my dog Till, the legend, who that to you, Till, as well. Revolt Control Radio, big ups to you, family. Let's see who else we got here that I didn't see as well. Iceman, big ups to Iceman. I gave him a shout out already. Tino Bills, YT, big ups to you, family. Thank you for joining and chiming in as well today on the show. Who else we got here? Running down the list here, the family members, trying to make sure. Derek Hennessy, big ups to you. Who that to you, Derek Hennessy? Verlin, big ups to you, family, as well. Lane Justice, thank you, Lane, for chiming in. Cincinnati Bengals fan who listens to the Sports Coma. Much love. See, it's amazing, man. Cincinnati Bengals, man, who enjoy the Saints content, man. That's just absolutely terrific. Thank you for showing some love there as well. Louis Lombard, we out in California. Big ups to you, Louis. Who that to your family? Thank you for chiming in. Damone Horton, big ups to you, Damone. Good to see you as well. Kevin McKnight, GM Kev, big ups to you, GM Kev. Thanks for the call as well. P. Felton Saints, big ups to you, family. DLP 2600, thank you, DLP. Good, smart comments as usual, family. Thank you for joining us once again. And Trail Hatch, big ups to you as well. And I'd like to thank all of the beautiful Black and Gold family members that's not mentioned. Tim Russ just chimed in. Who that, Tim? Good to see your family as well. Big ups to my dog, Tim, chiming in. And like I said, family, before I leave y'all here, I want to say I appreciate y'all, man, for everything that you guys do, for sharing the shows on your social media feeds, for sharing the shows in the Saints groups, the Facebook, Twitter, Reddits, and all the groups. For doing that, thank you. That helps out big time. Thank you for that. All our donators through Patreon, all of our supporters, thank you. And remember, a rising tide rise all ships. So as we go up, you go up. And like I said, I work hard for the family. I deliver, and I'm gonna continue to deliver, and I'm gonna continue to deliver more content. So if you're interested in join and listening to the new show, don't mean I'm gonna stop the Sports Coma. Sports Coma is gonna keep going on, but there is a new show that'll only be available on Patreon and the Spreaker page, which is called On Q with Big Q, and it's talking about all kind of stuff: NFL, NBA, boxing, all that stuff. It's just outside of the Saints content, life content as well. Entertainment and sports related content will be available. And like I said, it won't be on YouTube. It's strictly a Patreon show, and it'll be available to our Spreaker family. So just to let the guys and the family members know that as well. So I thank y'all for joining me tonight on the show. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. I just want to make sure y'all all understand that this about this virus stuff that's going on out here, just stay prayed up and get healthy, eat healthier, walk, drink more water, take supplements, stuff like that. And we're going to make it through. We made it through way worse than this, man. We done been through some hard stuff in our lives, man, and this won't stop us. So I love y'all, appreciate y'all. Stay safe, stay prayed off. Who that? And I'm out.
Yeah. Well, all right. Like you always say, welcome, welcome, welcome. Number one sports talking D. We ain't like the Falcons, we won't blow the lead. Look, all we talk is who that, who got cut and who back. Rookies in the vets, players you should look at. It's the sports coma, you don't wanna miss it. Got the pre-game, party, post-game statistics. Get a visit from Sway, maybe DC or 5. It's the hottest thing smoking, Big Q and the guys. Go to YouTube Live, make sure you subscribe. Interviews inside the Saints locker room high. Talk to Drew, Jordan, Zach, Peyton, New Orleans, who that nation. Best believe when I say we bleed gold and black. Ain't a miracle or rivalry could ever hold us back. No, Beastquake, Bounty Gate, let the truth be told. It's the sports coma, all we know is say Super Bowl. Yeah.